proud members of the Podbelly Network.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, come on, you know I don't watch that shit.
Why not? Too scared?
No, it's just what's the point? They're all the same. Some stupid killer stalking some big-breasted girl who can't act, who's always running up the stairs when she should be going out the front door. It's insulting.
This is Kim and Ket Stay Alive.
Maybe. We're a horror movie comedy podcast.
We are going to tell you a movie. Ketryn's going to tell me a movie, and
I'm going to spoil the whole fucking thing.
And I'm going to try to stay alive.
Yeah. And we have a special guest with us today.
We do.
One of our dear, dear, dear friends, Cindy from Towson. We went to college together.
Towson.
Is here listening to our podcast live. So we're very excited to have
She's going to be on set research for us when we need to postmortem things.
There's a significant amount of postmorteming that will happen for my episode.
Oh.
I don't know about for yours. I knew some of it, but it's like intense.
Ooh.
It was a lot of factual things. Luckily, I knew some of it. I was kind of impressed with myself. And I think Cindy is going to do a peanut butter whiskey shot with us.
Ooh, yay. Vagina holes out.
Tits up. Cheers. Clink. 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 Did I not clink you? Clink. How was it, Cindy? Yeah.
Isn't it delicious?
It's really
I know.
fucking
She's like, it
delicious.
really tastes like peanut butter.
Yeah. Thank you, Screwball Whiskey. We just got you another customer.
We love your promotion with us.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Promo code kksampodcast. Hashtag get screwed with kksampodcast.
Yeah. Use that promo code. It won't work, but you can use it.
Keep trying. Maybe if people just keep trying to use a promo code that doesn't work, they're eventually like, what is this?
That's actually a great idea. Everyone, please put in that promo code. Go to the
Or
store
just
where they
tag
sell it.
them and us together on Instagram, which many of you are doing, and we really appreciate it.
Again, Screwball Whiskey, why would you pay us? Because we're doing
it for free.
It's
but just like a case, something.
Out of the kindness of your heart, please.
Let's be friends.
So, yeah. Ooh. It was
still there?
Still there. It's Women in Horror Month.
Yay!
I'm very excited.
Bing, 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 bing. I'm too far from the bell.
Would you like me to do it?
Please. Well, it was a really low energy belding that you gave. I really wanted a high energy. Yeah. She just knocked the bell over. Guys, Too high.
So I always love all the posts that come out. Even gearing up to Women in Horror, like of just people like talking about their favorite, and like I learn about so many new movies.
Yeah.
I think it's a super, super cool thing that happens, and it makes me be like, oh my god, I want to do this movie and this movie and this movie and this movie.
Yeah, I had like 5 options for my patron vote.
Yeah,
but I wanted all of them.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so your second Women in Horror Month episode.
My one next
February
week is voted on by our patrons. Yeah.
And then do you have another?
No, because February is a short month.
Oh, yeah, it is a short month. So okay. Gotcha. But yeah, we're super, super excited. Do we have any business?
Okay. I'm Kim Burns, and that's Ketryn Porter.
I'm Ketryn Porter. Yeah.
We're going to try to introduce ourselves so you hear our voices.
Yeah. And I forgot to do this last week. I'm going to have a picture of us that has arrows. That is like, this is Kim.
No, last week hasn't happened yet. You can still do it.
Oh, last week hasn't happened yet. That's right.
In our weeks. I mean, you know what I mean? It's happened. Last week has happened.
But not really.
But it's the future for us right now.
Exactly.
It's this week.
You know
so
what?
You can still do it.
We'll
see. Who knows? Maybe she made a photo that pointed at arrows with our faces, which doesn't matter much considering you're still trying to figure out our voices.
Yeah.
But
and maybe I forgot. And I'm going to talk about how I forgot in this episode when it comes out.
I can't wait to find out. This is so exciting.
No, what I was going to say is that I was going to have you do, which I didn't think of last week in the future past, was that I want you to do that thing where like you
Put
do that
sound
thing
on it,
where you
the
put sound
picture.
on it. So
I
it's
can
like
do that.
Yeah, so it's me going, "Hi, this is Ketryn's voice."
Hi, this is Kim's voice.
And then there's arrows to our faces and people can be like, "Oh,
okay, great. We'll clip out this exact thing.
okay." That's what I wanted to add to the past future.
I agree that that's a good idea for the
Yeah.
past future.
So was that the only business we had of saying who we are and what our voices sound like on episode 78?
What else do we say? I have an update on life.
Great.
that I'm
Let's hear
terrified
it.
to share. All right. So I want to thank all of the Sammys that reached out to me. I love you all very much. I promise I'm doing okay. Honestly, we recorded like a week ago. So the Fright Night episode was 2 weeks ago for you guys. And I was basically sometimes our recording date just pops up on a day where something just happened. And so like, honestly, I couldn't even fucking listen to that. Like we have to listen back and I like had a really hard time listening to it because it's very,
Lindsay.
very, very raw. It's just really raw.
Yeah.
And so I just want to tell everyone that I'm like literally even a couple days later, I was kind of okay.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
you know, it
she's
was
doing
just like
great.
very raw.
Yeah.
I'm definitely doing great. I also appreciate everyone who reached out just saying that they like appreciate me like kind of having my heart on my sleeve and things like that. That really meant a lot because I felt a little self-conscious. Yeah, about that. And on that note of my feelings, so I read another book this week, which really came from like synchronous, like, I don't know. It was a huge coincidence that this book popped up and I was like, oh, I have that book and I've never read it.
Oh, that's right.
In fact, I haven't read it for 7 full years. I've moved it to different apartments. Wow. I've hid it inside a closet and I've never fucking read it. I bought it when I went through a really bad breakup years ago. And it's called Facing Love Addiction. And so it was weird when I picked it up or when I like saw someone talked about it and I was like, maybe I should check that out. Cause I was literally at my like wit's end. I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I feel like I'm ready. I'm journaling. I'm looking inside. I feel ready. So like, why do I keep attracting people that aren't ready? Like there has to be something there. So I read this book.
Attracting people that aren't ready because
there's something in me that's not ready.
Not ready.
But like
actual superpower. Sorry.
But I was like, but I can't figure out what that is. So I read this book or listen to it literally within 2 or 3 days. And whoof, it is like me to a T. I couldn't even fucking believe it. I was like,
you talking about it to sync.
Actual fuck. Yeah.
It was stuff that like I know, like obviously know about you.
Yeah.
But to have it all be like, oh no, this is just like Kim is just like a walking textbook of this thing. It
explained it. Like it made me feel better because like what happened last week or 2 weeks ago on Fright Night, like
in the future past.
Like when we talked about how I feel things very deeply and I've always just written it off to feeling like highly sensitive and that's a good thing. And those things are all very true still. But like, it's actually because like I'm like a love addict. Like I have a codependency thing and I've worked on codependence in the past. So like love addiction is like an offshoot of that. So they say, even if you work on codependency, this could still be hanging around. And, the one of like this parts of the cycle and like a lot of it I can tell I've worked on, like it's like things that I don't do anymore, like they're like you numb your pain with like drinking and sex and stuff like that, all of which I've done in the past for sure. Like I've already worked through a lot of things, so I'm not like hardcore, but like some people it's like the thing that when you're hardcore, like you start fucking slashing people's tires and like murdering people, like you know what I mean. So like the pain is just that intense. So like it talked about that and I was like, oh my God, that's the first time I finally felt better about like the intense pain that I feel, because I always was just like, are other people just not talking about their feelings as much as I do, which is probably true, or are they just not feeling it this way? Like I was like, it doesn't really make sense that like I can get to the point of like not wanting to live anymore over stopping seeing someone I've known for like a month. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't seem healthy, but like that's how I feel sometimes. It's just fucking unbearable. It is so intense. And apparently that's part of the cycle. And also how like the reasons behind love addiction are literally me textbook. Like it's like
It was
abandonment,
bananas.
which is like from one parent, and then abuse, which I've had, and then something that can even make it worse apparently it was like the love of like a grandparent. And I was like, what?
That fucking blew
It was like
my
a
mind.
trifecta.
I'm so glad that you talked about that you wanted
Isn't
to
that
talk about that right
bonkers?
here, because I was like, I'm not going to bring it up if Kim doesn't want to bring it up. But like Kim obviously like texted us like in our little like sync group text, and
Like
that
voice
was the
noted.
part where like I had to rewind it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that's so crazy.
Bonkers.
The fact that like, and tell me if I'm saying this wrong, I just like I had a very specific reaction to this where like, because you felt neglected, abandoned, abused by like certain like parental or guardian figures, that is one part of it. But then you also had an example of unconditional love from your grandparents. So you were then striving for quote unquote this fairy tale thing where you were like, that is what true love looks like. When obviously we're all looking for unconditional love, but that is like an amalgamation of like a child's mind of what that looks like, and elements of it are completely unattainable.
Like that's literally what they talk about is like, because you're abandoned and abused, like you come up with this fantasy, and so you're like, that's why you get like obsessive, because you immediately put people into your fantasy, so you miss red flags and all those things. And I do that, and then and then like also when things end, you get like really obsessive about it, and like you start making plans of like how you can get that. Like my brain just automatically does all those things. Like it's fucking fascinating.
That is bananas.
So if anyone feels any of these feelings, check out Facing Love Addiction by Pia Melody. She also has Facing Codependency. And there's a book attached that I really want to read too, that a lot of people have talked about, which is the same thing. It's about like, because they talk not just about love addicts, you are then attracted to love avoidance. And that's also a thing too. So they talk about both.
What like the thing to always remember, and I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but one thing that I learned pretty young was like, we are flawed creatures in that we don't seek out what is best for us. We seek out what is familiar.
100%,
So if what is familiar is abusive and unhealthy, we seek that out. So you actually have to break the pattern of that, and you have to acknowledge that you're seeking out something unhealthy, which is why it's so great that like you're telling, you know, people about like, hey, we all have patterns. That
and sometimes like healthy things actually feel uncomfortable because you're like, that's not what I know. But yeah, they also talk about like that, like unconditional, like it's no one's responsibility to unconditionally love me. Except myself.
Right.
And that's like a really important thing for
And
me to
me.
learn. Nope, I won't even put that on you.
Well,
it's no one's responsibility.
I'm putting it on myself. I love you from the bottom of my heart.
Some people
forever.
won't thank you. I love you too. So yeah, that's my mental health love podcast spinoff.
I love it. Oh, thanks, Cindy.
Cindy said she thinks we should do that. I kind of love the thing that guy that I was dating does, where he does just like an hour a week, a live chat on YouTube for like his community. And like, I don't know, I kind of think the horror community would really benefit from that too.
And I think
I don't know if people would be into that.
Yeah, let us know if you're into it, because I think Kim and I are both open books in that way. Like
100%.
You know, I don't. My love life is obviously like far more unchanging, you know, than Kim's is. But and I think there's an element of like, I kind of have to like speak to my partner about things I would want to open up about and make sure that it's like something that he'd be comfortable
only sharing
with.
about me and like strangers.
But like I'm
sorry, dudes.
But I think like that's something I'd be really open to, because you know, Eric
love
and I,
that.
Eric
like I watched his show, and it's like, it's really cool. It's genuinely just a safe space to talk. Like it's just a place for people to be like, hey, I'm feeling this way. And like other people can like chime in and be like, oh, like I have experience with that, like here's how I feel, or like here's a great book I read, or whatever. Like it's not like he's an expert or anything. Like no one's like, I'm a doctor, I'm going to do that. Like, let me tell you what to do. It's just kind of like, I can only speak from my own experiences. Like, it's really fucking cool, honestly.
And one of the things that, you know, I decided as an individual, and I think Kim and I are very synchronized in this way. And then also, in addition, something that Eric and I decided was like, I have my own struggles with mental health and depression, and I see it as a silver lining of that like I am a open book about it, because I'm like, I feel comfortable talking about it, and therefore other people
Exactly.
can maybe gain some
Makes them
insight
feel
or
safe.
feel less alone,
Yeah.
feel safe, all that kind of stuff. And then in addition, Eric and I, you know, we don't have a perfect marriage. Like, Kim knows that. Like, but we work really hard, and
I don't think there is such thing as a perfect. Like that's kind of what I'm learning. Like there is no perfection. There is no
And that's something I had to learn. That like my parents have a very idealized marriage, but even as I've gotten older, my parents are like, "Are you fucking kidding me? No, marriage is fucking hard." So like, even Peg and Skip,
I know,
have problems. But like we'd be, if people are interested, I'd be happy to talk about that.
I think it'd be really cool.
If it's like, you know, in a video setting, Eric can pop in or, you know, tell me what I'm not allowed to talk about, or what I am allowed to talk about, you know.
I mean, I'm a fucking open book, so.
Yeah, me too. Eric's like, can you not? And I'm like, anyway.
Oh, I want to talk about what I'm doing for it. I'm still figuring it out. I might go back to therapy. There's also like 12-step groups for like
love
sex and love addiction. It's called SLA. I'm probably not going to do that. SLA. Like sex and love addiction.
Oh, okay.
Sex and Love Addiction Anonymous. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So SLA.
I like sloth.
I'm gonna get a. I probably won't do that. Just because I don't feel hardcore enough. But I think those programs are great. Right now, it's a lot about reprogramming your inner child. The book talks about, and they give a lot of journaling prompts and stuff. So I'm doing a lot of like journaling and work with myself. And then I bought a course that's actually about reprogramming your inner child. And so I'm doing that, and we'll see, go from there. And I'm going to take a little dating detox.
Yeah.
How do I say not dating February?
I love it.
Like, I'll just call it that. February.
No datetuary.
No datetuary.
Well, you know what? We'll workshop that.
We're workshop. Found.
This is a total non sequitur, but it just
No
reminded me
date
of
and Times Day.
No date and Times Day.
Month.
I love it.
No, I don't want to wrap it with Valentine's Day. I don't know. Whatever. I'm taking a dating detox.
This is a total
Working
non
on
sequitur.
me.
But somebody asked me who I had never like spoken to before, but was like excited to talk to. And for some reason it came up about Eric's birthday, because I was like, oh, that would be like a cool place to have his birthday. It sounds like somewhere he would like. And he goes, when is Eric's birthday? And I go, September.
What?
And he was like, what? And I went,
What?
February. It's February.
What
and he was like,
happened?
cool. Stroke? I don't know. But I was just like, I'm so sorry. I do know the months, and it's February.
That sounds like a Kim Burns move.
It was so
if I've ever heard one.
And then to like say it again, full voice. It was very strange. Anyway, back to your mental health, and
Nope, that's all
clearly
I
my
got.
deteriorating one.
That's just an update since I really, really hardcore was raw 2 weeks ago, and I needed to let everyone know what's happening.
I say this to you every fucking episode. I love you. You're my hero. Good job at being you.
Thank you. I love you too.
You're welcome. Do you want to hear my movie?
I do.
That after you, the synchronicity of the universe is humorous to me.
Wow.
Because I cannot wait to tell you what this fucking movie is about.
Oh my God, I'm nervous.
It is so like... the word I'm searching for is not triggering, because like I think we're fine.
Right,
you know what I
right,
mean?
yeah.
But it's like there's a lot to relate to for both of us in a way that I was like, what is happening? What is going on?
I can't wait. Or maybe I can. I don't know. We'll see.
So have you heard of
Am I
the
gonna cry?
Love Witch?
No. The Love Witch.
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay. So this is called the Love Witch. And actually, Cindy, our researcher, would you be so kind as to look up the director of the Love Witch, because I cannot remember her name or how to pronounce her name.
And you're going to rely on me for pronunciation.
Do you know what year
who it
this
is?
was?
Written, edited, directed, produced, and scored
Yes.
Whoa.
by Anna Billis.
Anna Biller. That's what it was. Okay. I had heard somebody say Byler, and I was like, that's not what so Anna Biller. Yeah. So talk about women in horror.
Damn,
this
she
bitch.
wrote, direct, produced, edited, scored.
Yeah. So
What a boss witch.
yes. And this is one of the most stylized films I personally have ever watched, in the sense that, correct me if I'm wrong, but like the really stylized House of the Devil that you watched, where it was like shot in a sort of very 1980s type of vibe.
Yeah.
Would you have also said that the acting style was modern day or also 1980s? Because I wasn't watching. So
Modern day.
Okay.
It was normal.
Okay. So this movie is so stylized that I had to look up the year that it was made, not once, not twice, but 3 times, because it was so stylized that I was like, there's no way this was made in 2016. There's no way.
Okay.
It was made in that 1960s sort of, it looks like a Dario Argento film.
Okay.
And it's called The Love Witch.
You want to see like the cover? Look at
Yeah.
just the cover.
Oh, yeah. That does look like Dario Argento.
So in addition to the visuals of it being extremely stylized, the acting style is also extremely stylized, to the point where if I didn't know that this was on purpose, I'd be like, oh, this isn't the type of acting that I respond to. It's very stilted. It's like the opposite of mumblecore, where it's like the opposite of slice of life. People aren't really talking in the way that humans talk. But the fact that I know that this was like an homage to those type of films, I was like, wow. Like the commitment to this was banoonies. So here we go.
I'm
The
ready.
Love Witch, which is basically an amalgamation of what you and I are both
going through right
yeah.
So I'm gonna play along.
Yes,
Cindy's
Cindy is
gonna
going to
play
play
along.
along.
I'm just gonna write it down.
So and I'll ask you what your answer is.
Every once in a while.
Yeah. Okay. So Elaine, dead or alive?
Dead.
Trish, dead or alive?
Alive.
Barbara, dead or alive?
Barbara, dead.
Barbler. Gayan,
Alive.
Wayne,
Dead.
Richard,
Dead.
Griff,
Dead. Ketryn made a face.
Wow. No, Kim,
Did I do good?
I can't go on until I tell you that you got 5 out of 7. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
wow.
can't go on. Like,
That's really
I just
good.
need you to know that.
Wow.
I was worried because I was a lot of my answers were hers, and I'm like, oh,
No. No, you both did great. Cindy just said she was concerned as a lot of her answers matched Kim's, but no, you both totally shirked
Wow.
expectations.
Expectations.
Okay, so
Well, let's hope I stay alive.
Yeah.
It's not always a good sign, I feel like, to do good on the dead or alive.
I actually think you will, and you'll find out. Okay, so very 1960s vibe from the word go. This is the 3rd time I looked up when the movie was made at this point, because I was like, no way. So it's a woman driving down the street, literally driving up the California coast, but with a green screen behind her. Like, that's how stylized it was. A badly done green screen of her in a
Okay.
car. And it's a voiceover of her driving, and she's talking about how she is starting a new life in
Me too, girl.
Yeah. In
Yeah, let's go.
Northern California, but not San Francisco.
Okay.
And she pulls out a pack of cigarettes, which I didn't realize was so weird. She smokes a lot in this movie, which I didn't
Oh, right. 'cause,
remember that
like,
you don't really
would
see
smoke a lot,
anymore. So as she pulls out her cigarettes from her purse, a tarot deck falls out. And
She's
we
our best
see,
friend.
well,
Uh-oh.
hold that thought. So
see, I fall too quickly.
You do.
I fall too quickly.
You really do.
I didn't even wait to see if there were flags.
Nope,
Are they red? Are they white? I don't know. I just immediately accepted her in.
They are red. They are
That's
giant.
my fantasy
and they
love.
are dyed with blood. So maybe read that book sooner rather than later. So the tarot deck falls out and we see the Three of Swords, which I happen to know deals with disappointment, suffering, and facing old wounds.
Oof.
And or not facing old wounds. So then we see, as she's talking, the flashback of a man, a very 1960s man, standing kind of by a bar, and he like takes a drink, and in her flashback, he chokes and dies.
Oh.
Then she says, voiceover in the car, she keeps driving, I thought I'd die after Jerry left me. Then we hear sirens, and she seems very nervous about these sirens. She's the only car on the street. It's kind of a very coastal drive, so we have the ocean to her right. And the cop pulls her over, and he just gives her a warning. Like, he's like, your taillight's out. And she's like, okay, thank you, officer, and moves on. And she's one of those 1960s ladies who like really uses her eyeballs in every way that she talks. And every word that she says is very pronounced and enunciated in a way that makes you know that she does a really good job with a dick in her mouth. That's what she wants you to know. I'm not insulting her. That is what she would, if she heard me say that, she'd be like, thank you. That's what I'm going for. So, cop drives off. And I wrote, even the casting of the men is very 60s. Like, these are not, this is the attractive standard of the 60s. And she says in her voiceover, my therapist says I'm fine. Many people are abused, even worse than me. So I started researching what men want. It turns out, I know. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Turns out men are very fragile. You can't assert yourself too much. You have to be very tricky. Now she's driving through a little town in Northern California, ? Except the old purple Victorian house is right in Echo Park. So that's why I was confused for a second. But I'll show you a picture of it. We've totally driven past it when we used to hang out at the Whiskeys. So old purple Victorian house. Interestingly, all the cars are modern except for hers. So like all the cars parked along the street are like 2016 cars.
That's
it was very it was very interesting.
I mean, that might have just been like a budget thing, and they're like, let's just make it part of it.
Possibly, except also like we're not, at no point is it referenced that it's the 60s. Like people have cell phones. So it's like it is meant to take place modern day. Yeah, very strange. So that's something that I'm going to postmortem is just like, I want to hear the director just like talk about.
Yeah, you need some interviews.
Those things, yeah.
With her.
So woman in a pink, very 60s like suit set. Like she's got kind of like bell bottom pink pants on with like a matching pink vest and like kind of like a puffy pirate shirt underneath and like that haircut where it's like flippity flu.
Right.
You know. Her name is Trish. And she is showing Elaine, who is the woman that was driving.
Of course, their names are Trish
and Elaine. Yeah. And Barbara. And she's like, let me show you into the apartment upstairs. So Trish asks Elaine, how do you know Barbara? And Elaine is like, we actually used to dance together in San Francisco. And Trish kind of like looks at her a little surprised. And then she's like, I hope you don't mind the apartment. It's a bit garish. Barbara wanted it decorated as influenced by the Thoth tarot.
The Thoth?
Yeah, that is one thing I wanted you to look up. The Thoth tarot. THOTH. Thoth tarot. It's a very popular tarot right next to the Rider-Waite deck. I just am not familiar with that. And she's like, she had her and her students, they did a bunch of like occult paintings. And they're really into all that Wicca stuff.
Ooh.
So they go up to the apartment and Elaine is of course like, nope, this is my vibe. This is great. I'm into it. This is all me. And Trish is like, okay, I'm so glad you like it. Do you want to go to lunch? And she's like, I know this great little tea room. So this is where I wrote, like, the dialogue is very stilted. So in terms of like editing, it's a lot of like one person says their line without any stuttering of any kind. Cut to the next person talking and saying their line.
Mm-hmm.
So
Elaine is the woman from the car.
Correct.
And
Trish
Trish is the pink lady.
Yes, pink lady.
So apparently the Thoth Tarot is divinatory?
Like divinatory, like meaning like to see the future
Yeah,
and see
tarot
things.
deck. It's painted by Lady Frida Harris. And the background, it's supposed to be, hold on, let's see here. The symbolism. Let's do the illustrations of the deck feature symbolism based on the Crowley's incorporation of imagery from many disparate disciplines, including science and philosophy and various occult systems.
Yeah. So what Cindy was saying is it's
Thoth Tarot.
The Thoth Tarot is inspired by Crowley, who was basically the father of modern witchcraft in the 1960s and 70s, and it's all very like saturated colors, all very sort of like bold colors and things like that. So they go to a tea room, and it is all bubblegum pink. And the people serving them are in French-made costumes. Wow. And there is a harpist.
What?
That is like playing harpy songs.
That sounds lovely.
It was lovely, but I was like, damn. Like, they are committing to this. And even like the harpist is wearing like a bad blonde wig. Like, it's like the yellow Barbie kind of blonde. The commitment was impressive. So Trish says to Elaine, like, they're just like talking, and Elaine is like, this is like a fairy tale in here. And Trish says, do you like fairy tale fantasies, Elaine? And Elaine is like, don't we all? Flashback to her and Jerry in love with horses. Like, I love you.
In love with horses.
So Trish agrees, but she finds it silly. So she's like, there's no Prince Charming. And
this is really, really triggering, Ketryn.
I know. Just wait. So then Elaine is like, no, there's no Prince Charming, but I think I found the formula. She's like, I get men now. If only I knew then what I know now, Jerry would have never left me. I died that day. But when I was reborn as a witch, everything changed. Very over-the-top acting, stylized. I wrote that about 700 times. I'll stop saying it. I just was like really impressed with the commitment. So
got it.
I'm reading it and I'm like, oh my God, I wrote it again. God, chill out. So now we have a flashback to a naked ceremony of witches standing around. A lot of flaccid peni, a lot of capes, things like that.
Naked but with capes?
Yeah, naked but with capes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you heard that right.
I'm into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
maybe this is what I should do for my healing.
There you go. Hey, naked capes.
Naked
I love it.
Cape witchcraft.
Yeah. So she's
it's like goat yoga.
I really want to do that. I really want to do goat yoga. Sophia did it.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, I really want to do it. You don't want to do it? I'm looking at your face.
I know.
And I'm like, you are the one who brought it up, bitch. Like, do you not want to do it?
When are
Why
you
do you not
talking about?
You just said goat yoga.
Oh, I did bring it up right now. I thought you meant like in life.
Very second, you just brought it up.
I thought you meant in the past future. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I mean in the now past future.
In the current. Until literally maybe yesterday or something, I would totally be down. And then I heard two women talking about it. And one woman, this is going to affect you, was like, I don't know if I want to support something that I'm not sure about, like how the goats are treated or like why they're being used for this thing. Why do we need to use goats for that?
Oh.
And I was like, I never thought about it.
I never thought about that. Okay, yeah, that'll require some more research. And now I have different feelings about goat yoga.
I know. Well, like they're like, why are we using goats for yoga. Like, what's the point of that? And like, what are we doing? I don't know. She was like, it just seemed weird.
Cool. Way to ruin that.
Sorry. That's why I had a weird silent face.
Yeah, it was a weird silent face. It was Kim's weird judgy silent face where I was like, what did I say wrong?
I haven't figured out my feelings on it. This just happened.
Okay.
I have to process still, maybe do some research. Also, fuck goat yoga. We're going to do naked cape witchcraft
Naked
anyway,
cape
so
witchcraft,
it doesn't
yeah.
matter.
Okay. God, I have to get through this. Ketryn, focus. Okay. So she's talking to Trish still. And like, as we're watching this flashback of naked cape yoga, she's like, Barb and Gayan brought me back to life and taught me all I know about life and men. And then we see like very violent naked feet kissing ceremony.
What? What?
Cindy's out.
Cindy's
Cindy
left
doesn't do
the room.
feet.
She's not into our naked cape
And
witchcraft
I'm
anymore.
so sorry, but I have no
I'm not
idea
sure
what that
means.
I also not a single human in this room knows what that means, including
There's
myself.
some kissing and some feet.
And it's violent, and it's a
violent.
ceremony. I don't know. I don't know. I'll postmortem that, guys,
interested.
because I don't know what I was saying there.
There's one person that we went to college with that would definitely be into that.
Oh, there is.
That had a secret foot fetish and tricked
women
into being in his
filmed
videos.
about it. Hey, guys, don't do that. Don't tell people it's for a film project and then use it for your own personal library, you assholes.
But if anyone wants to buy videos of my hands, they're available. If you have a hand fetish,
Yeah, because she consented
for
to
it.
that. That's the difference.
Full consent.
Yeah.
Do whatever the fuck you want. Just pay me.
Pay me money, you owe me, bitch. Okay. Okay, so Trish is now like, well, what do men want? But not in a way that's like, tell me.
What do men want?
Yeah, she's more just like, what do you think men want? Like, she kind of thinks Elaine's a little silly. Mm-hmm. So Elaine says, to be loved and taken care of and made to feel like a man. And we have to give them everything they want. Exactly.
Barf.
Then we cut to the harpist and she's singing.
Sorry, I'm not your lady for that.
Yeah, no, nor am I. Nor's Trish, we'll find out. And so the harpist is singing an old ancient song about a woman who seduced all the men in a bad wig, but intentional. So Trish is like, but what about what we want? And I'm like, Queen,
Trish. If I had a bell next to me, I'd hit it. But
Well,
Ketryn
I'm hogging it.
doesn't like to let me use it.
I'm the bellman right now.
The bellman.
Bellman. Okay, so she's like, you sound like you've been brainwashed by the patriarchy.
Whoa.
And I'm like, okay, Trish, do you want to hang out? You sound
Trish
cool
is
as
my new
fuck.
best friend.
Yeah, she's badass.
Goodbye,
So-
Elaine.
yeah, bye, Elaine.
Trish is in.
Yeah, so Elaine says, well, sex unlocks a man's love potential. And Trish goes, if I fucked Richard whenever he wanted, I'd be wrecked. And I was like, okay, bitch.
Damn.
And so I don't think she said fucked, but maybe she did. I don't know. And so then Elaine goes, poor Richard. You torture him so.
Ugh.
I'm not exaggerating. And Trish says, I'll admit I use sex to get this, and like shows her engagement ring.
Uh-huh.
She's married now, but like shows her ring. She's like, but I'm not proud of it. And she's like, Richard loves me for who I am. And Elaine says, sounds like you did find your prince charming. And I'm like, bitch, are you a Stepford wife? Like, what is happening? So then in comes Richard.
Oh,
And
hello.
he puts his hands over Trisha's eyes to be like, surprise. Guys, that's not a waterfall. That's Kim loudly drinking her drink.
I feel like you couldn't even hear it. I was being very quiet.
It's literally all I can hear. It's like my
I was
voice
being
dropped
very
out and all I could hear was like a rushing rapid river.
I was purposely being very quiet. Normally it's a loud.
I'll wait.
No, I can't drink because I'm laughing.
I know.
Because Ketryn's staring at me aggressively.
Okay, so in comes Richard, puts his hands over Trisha's eyeballs. And then we hear a daunting harp sound. So it's like a
Bum,
gong. Yeah. and he locks eyes with Elaine and just kind of looks hypnotized. And then the camera does something that we're going to see a lot, where it's like just her eyes.
Okay.
And she's got this very saturated Thoth tarot deck eyeshadow that's literally this deep teal color of my blanket. We're going to see that a lot. And Richard...
Her eye color is that, or her eyeshadow?
Eyeshadow
is that teal.
Mm-hmm. And so he kind of, locks eyes, daunting harp sound, ding, and sounded just like that. And he says to Trish, he's like, oh, I went to your work, but they said you were here. I thought we could have lunch together. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. That was so sweet. I already had lunch. And also, this is an all ladies tea room. And he's like, oh, okay. And he's like, who's your friend? And fucking Elaine, like, she doesn't shake hands. She puts her hand
I already know what you're going to tell me.
In that way, how do I say
puts,
this?
Like the queen.
Palm down.
The queen, how do you
like,
just like present your hand?
Where it's like
palm
kiss it.
Down. Yeah.
Like I'm not shaking it like equals. It's like you need to kiss my hand.
That
yes.
So much.
Yeah. So she and Richard just kind of like
and then when you touch it, it's like a wet noodle and you're like
yes. So he shakes her noodle and and Elaine is like, oh, I heard so much about you. And Richard is like, nothing terrible, I hope. And she's like, on the contrary. Daunting harp sound again. Close up on her eyes. Cut to beautiful painting of a naked woman. Very saturated colors. She's holding a horse by its bridle. And she's holding a cup. And there's smoke coming out of the cup. And in the smoke is men's faces.
Ooh.
And
interesting.
She's also like putting together a bag of magic. She's got like a whole really ornate, beautiful altar set up. And she's making candles and she's making voodoo dolls and she's looking in her spell book. She's making potions in a cauldron. She's in her apartment. Now, we've cut away from the tea room.
Okay, wait. Hold on one second. So
where did I lose you, my love?
I was like, this is a painting?
So sorry. No, I'm sorry.
I was like, she's doing a lot of movement for being inside a painting.
I see how that was unclear. Let me back it up. The camera has now moved away from the painting.
Okay.
And it's now cut to her doing a bunch
to
of
Elaine.
Things in real life.
Okay.
Not in painting life.
I thought this was like a painting the whole time, and then you kept saying she was doing multiple things moving around, and I was like, wait.
No, the description of the painting ended with the men's faces in smoke.
Oh, okay.
Now she's
Elaine.
Elaine is putting together a bag of magic, making candles, voodoo dolls, spell book, making potion in a cauldron, pouring into mold, making something in mortar and pestle at altar, blah, blah, blah. Then we see that there's a giant pentagram on the floor with candles at each of the four corners. And she has a goblet and she sits in the middle of the pentagram and she holds the goblet up and she's like, Goddess, bring me a sweet man to love me. Love me. Love me. Love me. As she lays down on the pentagram in a star shape.
Mm-hmm.
Cut to her walking down the street. And men are literally like, breaking their necks and smacking themselves in the face with their boners as they walk down the street.
That's like when we were whatchamahoots.
Do tell, when were people breaking their necks to check me out? I'd love to hear about it.
They were when we put on the stuff. The pheromones.
Oh, the pheromones.
We put on pheromones from someone's house once.
From the place I was dog sitting.
You were dog sitting and I came to visit for whatever reason. And like we put on pheromones and then went to grab a drink. And it was like
terrifying.
When animals attack.
Yeah,
like we were in the wild, the African safari, and it was like,
it was like
everyone looked at us. It was
we walked into a club and there was an actual record scratch as we walked in.
There was.
Yeah.
And it was like, there was just a baseball game. We were in Baltimore. So it was Orioles versus the Yankees.
Yeah.
So there was a bunch of dudes down from New York. Like there was a whole fireman
situation.
Troop.
Yeah.
Fuck their called.
Brigade?
Team.
Squad
Sounds right.
Yeah.
That was there. That's one of the guys I ended up talking to.
And he like text you for like a year and a half afterwards.
Yeah, like we were moving to LA like in a month or two after that. We talked for a long time, even when I lived across the country.
Yeah, that
he was
guy,
actually really sweet.
Like the guy that I ensnared was like,
and soup's hot and a fireman. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean,
and New York. Come on,
jeez. But I felt unprepared to wield that type of power at that time. I was like, this is a little too much for me. I can't. What did I just get myself into? Yeah, pheromones, guys, they work. It's terrifying.
Shocking.
What am I saying?
I don't know.
What is our podcast?
I have no idea.
Okay.
People looked at her.
Yeah.
Men looked at her.
Okay. Hit themselves in the face with boners. Yeah.
Right. Boners.
So she walks into...
Boners to the face squads.
Yeah. Boner to the face squads. And so she walks into Moonrise Herbs Magical Apothecary. And I was like,
I want to go.
Me too. I want to go. So she goes in and a woman named Wendy is behind the counter. And basically Elaine is in there to sell all her shit. She's like, I make candles and soaps and dolls and spell bags and witch jars. And Wendy is like, we don't have any of this stuff. I'll talk to my boss. Maybe we can sell it. That's how she talks. And so now Elaine goes and sits down on a bench in like the town square. And she's eating a sandwich. And she's feeding some pigeons with a little bit of bread. And her voiceover is saying, people ask me why I'm a witch. I tell them it's because I want to have magical powers. It's not like it sounds. It's just using your will to get what you want. And then all of a sudden,
I'm in.
We hear the pigeons flap away. And she like scowls. And we hear like a duh.
What's happening?
And then we see that she sort of like locks eyes with a man who's also on the lawn. And he's talking to a woman. And as she's looking at him, all of a sudden he has like Jerry's head on his head. Mm-hmm. And she stares. The man straight up just like walks away from the blonde chick he's talking to, like in mid-sentence, and like walks over to Elaine. And they're having small talk about nature and how she sees that his heart is in nature. And he's like, you got me. Impressive. I have a house in the woods. And she's like, I bet you take your wife there. And he's like, oh, I'm not married. And she's like, I bet you take your girl there. And he's like, sometimes. And she's like, want to take a girl there now? I'll make you dinner.
Ooh, oh.
So Kim,
Elaine,
though you are being Wayne, when you answer this, obviously you are not blinded by your boner directly in your eyeballs.
I'm
not. What does Wayne do and what do you do? Do you go to the cabin in the woods?
Wayne definitely does. You know what? I'm taking a dating detox, and I'm not going to go to that cabin in the woods. It's no dating-tines February.
Yep. Ring a ding-ding, ding-a-ling, bitch. Correct. Yeah. No date. We'll work on it. Maybe it'll come to us by the end of the episode.
We'll keep trying.
Yeah. So he goes, boner to the face. They walk to his car. Girl he was talking to is like, what the fuck? And they drive off.
Wow. I mean, that is wielding some power.
Yeah.
She has there.
Yeah. Cut to pulling up to the house at night. And he is like, let's make love in the car like kids. And he kisses her. She stops him and pulls out a flask and says, it's something I made. He takes a swig and it's like really strong. Like he's like, whoa. And then she says, finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Kim, what do you do and what does Wayneford do?
Wayneford drinks it right up. Because he will do whatever that pheromone tells him to do.
Yep.
I say no thank you.
So you just have a little bit. Okay.
I am like, no more. Dump it out.
Yeah. Dump it out. Wow. Okay. Aggressive. I like it.
Too strong. Goodbye.
Wayne chugs it, obviously. Moves his boner out of the way.
Right,
of his
obviously.
mouth.
Yeah.
Then they start making out again. And she's like, I want to go into the house. And I'm like, me too. You got this big old house. I'm not fucking you in your car. And so he starts kissing her. Oh, they go into the house and he like starts kissing her and let's do this. And she turns her head away. She's like, I'll start dinner. So Wayne lights a fire. She's cooking these big ass motherfucking steaks, like the ones that are like the huge fucking steaks. And she brings it to him in the living room and she pours some wine and she's like, to nature. And I wrote, that is way too much food to bone later. Like, that is not going to work out for somebody. Definitely not me. I remember actually on our honeymoon, one of the nights that we like went to like a really nice dinner, we were like, we've got to get dessert because there was like some amazing dessert on there. And Eric goes, you realize right now, like if we get this dessert, we are choosing dessert over having sex with each other. And both of us were like, yeah, we know. We'll have two. It's so they're eating their steaks, and we learn that he teaches English at a college and also 18th century French lit. And she's like, oh, are you a libertine? And he's like, I am. I love women. Basically, a libertine, I looked it up, is like someone who like is morally lax about sexual encounters and loves women. Casanova. Thank you, Cindy. I really like having a researcher here.
I know.
This
it's
is
very helpful.
Great.
I'm just gonna live here now.
Great. Perfect. I love it. Move Peter on out. This is great. So then he starts to feel a little dizzy. And he goes, what was in that drink?
Oh.
And she says, oh, berries, vodka, and hallucinogenic herbs. Just a few hallucinogenic herbs.
Is this how I get a man?
Yeah. All of a sudden, it's now in like a swirling kaleidoscope rainbow filter, which I'm sure you've seen in like 60s and 70s movies where they're like, we just discovered filters. And she's like, do you mind if I make myself more comfortable? And he's like, not at all. And she disrobes very sexily. Now, I should say she was wearing all black, okay? But as she takes off her dress, we see that inside all of her clothes is lined with rainbow. Like straight up
Lined with
Joseph
rainbow.
and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat shit.
I kind of like that.
Yeah. And
Feels like me.
it was you-ish for sure. And then he's like, but he's hallucinating. So he's like, that's too bright. And then he's like, you have two selves. Dark and quiet. And then that, pointing to like the rainbow. And he's like, who do you give that to? And she like
sound like me.
hands him her dress. And she's like, you right now. And then she's like throwing her clothes at him and like all of her lingerie. And he's like grabbing it and smelling it. And he's just like, like crazy, like goofy laughter where I'm like, and I'm not into it anymore.
I love it. This just got me more in.
Yeah. Then she says, you can make love to me now. And he like carries her upstairs to mystery music. So it's like no longer like the sexy candlelight music. Now it's sort of like not ominous music, but a mystery music. And we have rainbow.
Which sounds like...
Fuck off. I don't know.
Wow.
I'll post mortem the mystery music. And
wow. Aggressive.
I'm not your pony. Okay. So then we see
was
like
half a joke, but I kind of wanted to know.
I know. So then we see more rainbow filter. Everything is rainbow filtered. And then we have like her eyes with her teal eyeshadow. Yeah. 60s undies all over the place. Ooh. And then
no idea what those look like, but cool.
Well, they're just it's a lot of contraptions. And a lot of pointiness.
Pointy. Yes.
The push-up hadn't been invented yet. So unless you had like your natural push-up, there was nothing to be done.
Which I do.
Yeah.
So.
Fuck off again. God damn it.
I can't help it. They're amazing.
Yeah, they are phenomenal tits. I don't know what to tell you. So 60s filter eyeballs. Everyone, she's got phenomenal tits. See the phenomenal tits here.
Oh boy.
So blah blah blah. They get down to Rainbow Bone Town,
Rainbow Bone Town. That
Rainbow
sounds
Bone Town.
fun. I
Kim's
want
like,
to go.
I want to go to Rainbow Bone Town.
I really do.
So it's also on gold satin sheets.
Whoa.
And I'm like, God, I would just sweat all over those.
I cannot stayed the night at a guy's house once, and he had satin sheets, and I made him in the middle of the night get up and change his sheets.
Yeah,
and then he
just
changed
a
them to
furnace.
jersey, which is my second least favorite, also sweat material. But it was better than satin. Like I literally couldn't do it. I was like, you must change your sheets.
It's like this is dangerous for me. Like my body
This
is
is too
overheating
hot.
in a way that So gold satin sheets, and now lots of 60s filters, swirling heads, kaleidoscope heads, eyes, always her eyes, blah blah blah. Now we're post bone. He leans over and takes a drink of water on the nightstand and starts crying. And everything she says is in a very affected way. So she's like, "What is it, Wayne?" And he's like, "I feel so strange." And she's like, "I'm here." And he's like, "No woman has ever given themselves to me like that before." And she said, "Oh, life's been tough." This is how she's talking, but she's serious. Like she's like,
I know, I'm with you.
And so she's like really laying it on, making him seem like he's the most interesting man in the world, but really he's a little turd boy is what I wrote.
Okay.
Yep, that's what I wrote. And so he's like, "You have no games, no agendas with you. Most women want you to make a bunch of promises as soon as you sleep with them."
Fuck you, Wayne.
Yeah. How can you when you don't know someone? I never thought I wanted to be tied down, but I just never met the right woman. Women I'm attracted to are too dumb, and the bright ones don't give me a boner. He didn't say boner. He said arouse me or some shit. And I was like, oh my God, leave.
Wayne.
And so then
Hashtag therapy, Wayne.
Right. Also hashtag leave, Wayne. So then she's like, "Seems like quite a problem, baby." He starts crying and is like, "It is. It really is. I didn't think I needed anybody, but I was wrong. I never felt like this before. Never felt love like this before. I can't take it. Oh, a lot of emotions, baby. Elaine, I'm sick. I'm sick." She says, "Try to get some sleep." And she leaves. Cut to her smoking on the couch by herself. Wayne is screaming from the bedroom, "Elaine!" and crying. And her voiceover says, "What a pussy."
Yes.
What a
Elaine.
What a baby. "I thought I'd found a real man, but he's just a little girl. No one was there for me when I cried my heart out. No one comforted me." Oh, God. And I was like, bitch, you need some fucking hashtag therapy. So then she wakes up on the couch, perfect makeup, obviously. And she sees that there's like a bit of blood on the sheet. I was like, oh, been there. God, the amount of sheet sets I had to buy for dudes is so many. And she goes in the bathroom, takes out a tampon from her purse, and I need to ask you this. She puts the tampon in like on the brochure, where you are you're standing and you put one leg up like you're Captain Malibu. And then you stick it in from there. Like, that's how they instruct you to do it. She puts it in like that. Have you ever in your fucking life put in a tampon that way?
With my leg up?
You're standing, and you have your other leg up Captain Malibu style. Captain Morgan. Captain Morgan. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy.
I was like with you, but I was like,
who's Captain Malibu?
Yeah. But I was picturing Captain Morgan, but it didn't feel right.
That's like how you're supposed to like instruct
Captain
someone.
Malibu.
Captain Malibu.
And just like in the air, it's like on something. You're
it's like on the
placing
toilet.
it on the toilet.
No, it's straight up in the air. So if you don't have the flexibility of a prima ballerina, you can't use a tampon.
I don't believe I've done that. No.
Yeah, of course you haven't, because you're not a fucking psychopath like this bitch is. So cut to her making breakfast, and she brings it to him in bed. And he's laying awake, and he looks like he did not sleep, and he's shaking and sick. Like, it looks like he's going through withdrawal. And so she tells him, Drink this. You'll feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Kim.
No.
What does Winifred do?
You already know my answer, and that was what that bell was for.
Yeah, and what does...
I do not fucking drink that.
Okay.
Look what the last drink she gave me did.
Right? And what does Winifred do?
Oh my God, Wayne. Fuck Wayne. Of course he drinks it. Fucking idiot. Fuck you, Wayne.
He's a total douche turd.
Turd
What
boy.
I call him? Turd little
Turd boy?
Turd little bird boy.
Turd little bird. He's a turd little bird.
He's a turd little bird boy. So he's like, I had horrible dreams. I dreamt I was calling you, and you never came. But you love me, don't you? And she's like, of course I do. Get some sleep. And he's like, don't leave me. She's like, I'm not going anywhere. Cut to her down in the living room again, pulling 3 tarot cards. She pulls the 5 of Cups, which is basically, I can only see what I've lost. So, like, I can only see Jerry, basically. The Tower, which is you've built up expectations and they're coming crumbling down. And then the 3 of Swords, which we know is just disappointment and suffering.
Oh, man.
So she pulls this and she's like, this doesn't bone well.
Bone well for me.
This doesn't bone or bode well for me or Winifred. So she looks to the bedroom. Now cut to her going back into the bedroom. And she's like, Winifred? Wayne? Turns him over and he's dead as a turd boy.
Goodbye, turd little bird boy.
So she closes his eyes and starts crying on him like a Disney princess. Question 4. Now
Yes.
you're Elaine.
Yes.
What dost thou do? And what does she do?
This is a great question. Well,
It's his cabin in the
his
woods. Cindy
cabin.
just asked where they are. They're still in his cabin in the woods.
Here's the thing. No one knows that I'm there at all.
Or do they?
I guess that fucking chick saw us. Okay. Interesting. I feel like she's got more expertise in this than I do,
Yeah.
but I still don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to lie. Cindy gave me a good idea and I'm going to steal it.
I know. I almost got annoyed. I was like, Kim gets to cheat. And then I was like, oh no, when we record my episode, I'm going to get to cheat too. So it's fine.
She said that she uses his body as like a ritual in some way.
Okay.
And I'll go with that too. That sounds good.
And what do you do?
I am a crafty witch. And I'm going to also do a spell to protect me and, forget people's memories, all the things.
1 point for her, or should I say Cindy, since she helped you. No points for you, because here's the thing. You are a witch, but you do in fact live in the real world and you have a body on your hands. So we need to...
Yeah, but I'm going to create a spell so what's-her-face doesn't remember anything. And like, if I just did a spell over all men in general, I'm going to do a spell on like police and everything. Like I just won't even matter.
Not any reason for you to know this until later, but I don't know that you're as good of a witch as you think you are.
How dare you?
I forgot about my White Claw. I'm so excited. Okay. So what she does is she goes outside naked and she starts picking yellow flowers. And then she sees a deer. And then we cut to her peeing into a mason jar. She then funnels it into an apothecary jar. Then she adds a used tampon.
Wow.
Then she adds some...
That's very specific.
Yeah. Then she adds some...
I didn't know my spell required so much bodily fluids.
Yeah. So then she adds... I thought it was rosemary. I learned later that it's jimson weed. She adds that. Mm-hmm. Then I wrote adds some other shit, I also learned that she was adding sharp things. So like nails or tacks or things like that. Then her voiceover is saying, now I mean, she's a fucking psychopath, but this I was on board for. She goes, tampons aren't gross. A woman bleeds and that's beautiful. Most men have never even seen a used tampon. Part of me can be with Wayne now. Always. So that actually fascinated me because I bet that that's true. How many men
never
have
thought
seen
about that.
a used tampon? And it's like we
That's
see
weird.
dozens of them every month. Like that's
Very
just
weird.
so. It goes back to the class that I want to teach that we talked
Yeah, for
about
kids.
last week in the past future.
Yeah.
Like I want to just be like, this shit isn't gross. Like
Yeah,
you don't
it's
get to
just your
say
body.
this is gross. Like this is just 51% of the population's body that they go through kind
Yeah.
of thing. And just like destigmatize the grossness of periods. Can you imagine if just like a whole generation of men grew up not thinking periods were gross and
Yeah.
like the snowball effect that would have on their mindset towards women?
Oh my God.
Wow. I kind of think I need to
I
look
told you in the past future you should do it. I agree.
Yeah.
I stopped using tampons and it's magnificent.
You use those Diva cups?
No, I use Flex discs.
But it's like
I
a similar
tried the Diva
concept
cup, and
that
that-
it's catching the blood,
It is, yes.
basically, in like a
Yes,
trough.
a disc. I put a trough
Yeah.
up my vajay.
Yeah.
And
And
a
catch the
horse
blood.
drinks out of it while blood drips into it.
For my rituals that I am doing.
Sometimes a pig, depends on the month.
Right.
What animal's drinking from my trough.
Yeah.
But yes, maybe I should try a different brand, but I tried the Diva Cup thing and I didn't figure it out. This took me a month or two to figure it out anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, because you can wear them for like 12 hours. So you never have to
That's
fucking worry.
fucking
And there's
great.
no fucking pee string.
Right.
Which is the worst part of a tampon.
I was just talking to Eric about, because guys, this is TMI. I'm sorry. We can cut it, I guess. But the poor man he does all the laundry. And so sometimes it's it's difficult. There's going to be some casualties
For
to your
sure.
underwear
100%.
every month. And Eric is a saint
thing.
in that like he's amazing. Like he's not grossed out. Like he's just like whatever. But I did mention to him, I was like, I'm thinking about using like reusable pads, like for the environment basically. And he was just like, Can you not please?
I didn't know there was reusable
They're
pads.
coming out. I follow this account. I'll share it to our female Sammys. That is like all different kinds of products, not just period products, but all different kinds of products that don't use plastic or one-use
nice.
things.
Yeah.
And it's some really amazing ideas. And one of them was like, I mean, I wash fucking blood out of my underwear all the time. Why can't I wash it out of a reusable pad and not use all of that like plastic and chemical dyed cotton and all that kind of stuff? And like, it's the same thing as reusable diapers, as Cindy said. And it's like, yeah, I'm looking into it. Anyway, male Sammys, get used to hearing about periods. Okay?
Yeah, I'm not even going to say sorry or TMI. Like, I'm not ashamed.
Yeah, and I retract my sorry.
Good.
I'm not
Good
sorry.
job.
What are we doing? What's my podcast?
All I remember is like a trough and
she puts her tampon into the urine jar. That's what
Urine.
happens.
Got it.
And
because men haven't seen them. Got it.
Right, because
I'm
men
back
haven't seen them. Yeah.
in the present future.
So cut to her wheelbarrowing his body out to the field outside of his house. And she's like, I don't mind burying people. I've done it before.
Oh.
People I really cared about.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down she buries him and does, or I bury him and do a ritual.
Wow.
Wow.
Cindy
Cindy's
said
a
she
witch.
buries him and does a ritual. So I don't know. Kim might be fired.
Meh.
So she is digging a hole and her voiceover is this woman is basically you and me like smushed together. She's like, I want to come back as a cat. I've been so depressed since my cat died. His name was Grey Mulkin. He was my best friend.
This is Ketryn, in case anyone was wondering which side we're on right now.
Yep.
I love that 10 seconds ago you were like, I mean, she's a complete sociopath and she's a mixture of me and you.
Yep. So she's taking her black dress off now with the rainbow sewn inside, and we have ominous music. And she puts the witch jar, the yellow flowers she picked, and the dress on his grave.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I give the rainbow to you right now. Then she lights the dress on fire, and cut to her, you know, she's had a rough day. So she puts some flowers into a bathtub and takes a really relaxing bath.
Feel you, girl.
You know, it's a
I
tough
think that's
day.
both of us.
Yeah. And then she drives off in Wayne's car.
Bye.
She's like, I have a car now. Cool.
Nice.
You know, so cut to her painting again in her apartment. She's moved on. Like, she's like, well, Wayne's gone. Goodbye.
He was a turd bird.
He was a
Ferguson
turd bird
anyway.
So cut to her painting with this very like Baroque harpsichord playing. And she's in a very, very, very Victorian outfit. Like cosplay Victorian outfit, and her hair's all up, and she's painting a naked woman who's holding a bloody sword over the body of a stabbed dead man.
Cool.
In comes Trish, and Trish is like, wow, you look so beautiful. And Elaine's like, I know.
She's confident lately.
Yeah. And then
hey, you need to own your worth.
And she's one of those women where it's like you never want her to not be on screen because like she's so symmetrical and aesthetically pleasing that you're like, my eyes just want to rest on you forever. Like she really is that beautiful. So then Elaine offers her tea and cake. And I wrote, this is how I live now. I just want to live in a Baroque painting, drinking tea and eating cake. And Trish is like, you've been busy with a man, I hope. And she's like, yes, but it didn't work out. It was a shame. I really liked him. And I'm like, no, you didn't, bitch. He was a turd boy. So Trish says she's going out of town for work. And Elaine asks if Richard is going with her.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Trish.
Now we cut to a 60s burlesque strip club. But what was interesting was like nobody really got naked. Like it was like they remained in very modest bathing suit type cover-ups, and everyone seemed cool with it. So I was like, oh, that's nice.
I mean, that kind of was what stripping
Yeah,
was at certain point
it
in
was
time.
just refreshing.
And burlesque,
Yeah.
in general too, can be a little less.
Yeah, it was refreshing to see. So, old man bartender talking to two waitresses, and the two waitresses who come up to, you know, and they're like, my table needs a Manhattan. I almost said an old Manhattan. That's not right.
Old man bartender, I need an old Manhattan.
And so they're like, did you hear about the news? And they're like, a body was found, a body with a symbol carved into the chest. And then they show pictures of the body to the girls. And I wrote, why are we publishing pics of dead bodies in the newspaper? What is happening? So
That is something they used to do.
I guess, yeah. They
Like,
did it
no,
for
for real.
Thelma Todd, which I learned on Hadley's podcast, Underbelly LA. Everyone should go listen to it. And they're like, it's a pentagram. And then some old drunk dude named Lloyd, who's just like, you're like, oh, you live there,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
And he's like, those damn witches. And I'm like, oh, God, go home, Lloyd. You're drunk. So cut to Elaine and Barb talking. We're meeting Barb. The Barb is here.
The Barbler.
And so she's like, Elaine goes, so yeah, Barb, that's everything. After Jerry died, the cops wouldn't stop bothering me. They really thought I killed him. So I had to leave. Thank God you had the apartment. And Barb is like, perfect timing. And then Elaine says, I had a weird experience last weekend. He got really emotional, and then he got sick after I used love magic. The emotions just came pouring out of him. Question 5. As a friend, Kim, what do you tell Elaine? And what does Barb tell Elaine?
I mean, we've just discussed how this is not my forte, so.
But like, maybe it's me telling you about a boy.
I'm confused about what direction we're going in. Just like advice?
And just like,
Is Barbler also a witch?
Barbler is also a witch.
That's good to know.
I think just I mean, I'd probably be like, well, he's not your person, so let's just move on.
Okay.
And
what do you tell her about using love spells?
oh, okay. That's what I was wondering. I was like, where are we going here?
We're trying to save people.
Lives,
your life.
Didn't feel that way. I just thought I was giving advice.
Well, that's why I'm explaining it. Burns. Oh, don't give me that look.
I will fight you with my rainbow magic. I am going to tell her that love spells
Oh my God, I hate this voice
are
you're doing.
dangerous.
Okay. You're going to tell her that. Okay. And what does Barbler
And
tell her?
Barbler tells her the same.
Two points. You were more definitive. Barbler is like
Barbles around about it.
barbles around about it. She's like, you have to be careful with love spells.
Right.
So here comes Gayan, and he is. I don't. Yeah. I hate. Okay. I really struggle with this because I don't want it to sound like I'm shaming someone for their looks, but in this instance, I feel like it's relevant that we're dealing with a situation where Barbler is extremely youthful and attractive. Elaine is obviously a fucking out of this world smoke show. Gayan is a middle-aged not smoke show. His fire was put out. It's not. And like I feel like that's relevant because we're about to have some conversations about like the patriarchy and how like there are double standards for men.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason that I'm talking about like him not being traditionally attractive. I'm trying not to do that anymore, but you get my point. So Gayan comes up and he's like, "Marry meat," meaning like that's like what witches say to each other. Like we are not meat like Philly cheesesteak, meat like MEET.
And
And marry
RRY?
Yeah, like I'm happy to
Marry
see
meat.
you. Yeah. He then kisses Elaine's tummy, her chest, and then goes to kiss her mouth, and she turns away disgusted, but not so disgusted that Gayan would pick up on her disgust. So now we're seeing a thing where there's a power dynamic between Gayan and Elaine that we just saw something there.
Mm-hmm.
He sits down and they toast. And here comes Lyle, and he's like, "Go home, witches!" And fucking Lyle.
Wait, where are we?
In the bar still, the burlesque show bar. That's where Elaine and Barbler are talking. He never leaves. Well, because there's naked ladies stand. Cindy asked, "Why is Lyle there?" Lyle is there for the booze and the boobs. You know, they happen to be witches. But he likes boobs and booze.
Can you imagine if someone said hello to you and then kissed you on the stomach and then the chest?
I can't and I
and then
won't.
the lips.
Yep, I can't and I won't. And I resent you for making me try to imagine it.
I'm still holding on to that.
Yeah, it was really
Fantastic.
it was really invasive for sure. And Barbler didn't seem to care. Like Barbler was like, "Sure, my husband's kissing the abdomen of another woman. That's fine." So after Lloyd is being
Even just the angles.
yeah,
It's very weird.
He had to bend
He had to
down,
bend down.
and then sort of get into a half squat, and then stand straight up. Yeah, it was a lot of awkward squatting. It was. Oh, and he's also
Good
wearing
for
like
the
a satin robe.
glutes.
Yeah, he's wearing like a long
He
priest robe.
Basically, like Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, he's if Hugh Hefner was a warlock.
A wizard.
Yep, that's what we're dealing
He's
with.
a wizard Hugh Hefner.
So then Elaine, in response to Lyle, is like, "I didn't know this place was hostile towards witches." And Barb says to ignore him. And Gayen is like, I miss the good old days in San Francisco where we all made love freely and no one cared whether they were a witch or a Satanist or a Thelemite or a druid or a Wiccan or whatever. Can you look up Thelemite? Spelled like it sounds. And he's like, but I've been teaching and it's going very well. And he names all these like really cool classes where I was like, oh my God, Hogwarts, I'm into it. And then he says, and of course, sex magic. And this is where Elena's like,
Elaine was like,
actually, she went, oh, you're still teaching that.
Oh.
And we were like, what was that I just saw, Elaine? And he's like, yep, we even have some students dancing here to learn about sexual dancing. Then these two fucking blonde robot twins walk up in gauzy white dresses and they speak in fucking unison. And they're like, hi, Barbara. Hi, Gayen. Sorry we're late. Now picture if my voice was two of me saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And they sit down and we learn that they're students. And Gayen points out how powerful the girl on stage is. And it's this like really beautiful woman that sort of has like the body type of burlesque that we're used to, but then also like this really youthful face, but then like gray hair. So I was like, Queen, I love it. And she's just like really feeling herself. She's doing the tassel twirling on the nip-nips.
Ooh,
I
cool.
mean, she's killing it. So the following speech that is given by Barbler and Gayen is happening over us watching
Like
this
watching
woman
the
dance. Yeah. And the men responding to her. Now, if this movie wasn't so stylized, I'd be like, well, that was a ham-fisted as fuck speech. Like, could we have dumped more exposition into this hole? But because it's so stylized, it was fine. So Barbler starts talking about a woman's sexuality, and she's like, we don't view this power as satanic or anti-feminist, but as a celebration of a woman as a natural creature. She's
Wait,
like,
what? Can you say it again?
we don't view our power of sexuality, that like our greatest powers, our sexuality, as anti-feminist or satanic, which is like what the Christian community calls it. But it's just a natural celebration of the female creature.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says the whole history of witchcraft is interwoven with the fear of female sexuality, which all of the, I mean, that's why I was like, this is very exposition-y, but it's pretty spot on. And she's like, later they used marriage to hold us in bondage so that we could be their servants, whores, and fantasy dolls, never asking us what we wanted.
Whoa.
And I wrote, but this is what Elaine is doing. If this wasn't so stylized, I'd find this ham-fisted. Oh, that's what I wrote. Also shows that Elaine is kind of a shitty witch in the sense that, like, she, like, Barbler is like, it's not about what men want. It's about coming together, like the duality or the polarity of man and woman kind of thing. It's not about like just giving over to them and everything that they want. And so she's like, they teach us that the normative human being is a hyper-rationalist stoic male, and women's emotions or intuitions are illnesses that need to be cured.
Wow. Wowie
Yeah.
zowies. Is that fucking true?
Yeah.
About society and
Yeah.
the patriarchy.
Yep. Even I was just talking to Cindy last night that the male body, even in like textbooks or in medicine, the male body is what's considered the normal body, and it's literally referred to as that. And then a female body is the abnormal. And it's like, motherfucker.
There's actually a lot of like medicine and stuff that like hasn't been tested on women at all.
At all, because they're not the normal body.
It's fucking insane.
So she's like, as witches, she's talking about as witches, we strive for male-female polarity. So the balance of the two. And she's like, this is where she kind of gets more into like love magic. And I was like, you kind of lost me here. She's like, we need to teach men how to love us using ways they can understand. So as goddesses, we use perfume, high heels, makeup, dress attractively, display flesh artfully. Now, I should say this is Gayen talking now, talking about how women should display their flesh artfully. And he's like, be a mother and a lover, stand your ground, but always let the man feel like a man. So like now we're kind of getting into like the, you know, we don't need to live in gender stereotypes. Everybody embodies the male and female energy.
Yeah.
within themselves, kind of
yeah.
thing. And I wrote, is this the movie Grease? Because it just it just reminded me of like how Sandy's like, the only way that I can get Danny is if I turn into Rizzo.
Right.
It's a really upsetting movie, Grease, honestly. So
yeah, remember when we saw it? I was like, oh my God, I love Grease. Grease is my favorite. And then a bunch of girlfriends, we all got together and saw it at the Hollywood Bowl. They do a sing along.
Yeah.
And we were all like, ooh, haven't seen this one in quite a few years.
Yeah, it's really the message.
Since we've become more aware human women in the world.
The message of Grease is bad.
It's pretty bad.
It's real bad.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm trying to look up
Thelemite.
Thelemite.
Thelemite. Thelemite.
Okay, maybe that's what.
Yeah. So he's like, so we use sex magic to destroy his fear of opening his heart, and basically saying like we use sex to make them less
For them to be able to open up.
I guess. Yeah.
Because we're like connected.
Yeah. So blah, blah, blah. So that was like the exposition of like talking about sex magic with Barbara and Gayan. So now we cut to Elaine back at her apartment, and she's looking at her altar. And on her altar's all the pics of the men she's been with.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And it's
been with quotation marks.
Yep. And it's a voiceover while she's taking her extensions out, because she had this long hair down to her waist. And it's like,
can you imagine what the wall of pictures would look like?
You mean like, well, it would be the
of my wall.
Yeah, it would be the side of a building.
My wall would be just as far as the eye could see.
Oh God,
I don't even know. I wouldn't even know all the pictures to put
me
up.
Neither. Yeah,
I don't recall.
What is Thelemite?
So just look at this symbol. I kind of want
Ooh,
that's
I kinda
really
want that
cool.
too. Thelemite symbol. It's cool because
really
it's
cool.
definitely like Celtic.
Yeah, we'll post that, Sammy's.
Oh my gosh.
Here, hold on. Come say it.
Hello, Sammy. Thelema is a social or spiritual philosophy derived from Western esotericism.
What's esotericism?
One may take this definition to entail, by extension, one does their will. So basically, like, you're gonna do you.
You do you.
You do you.
That's my favorite fucking philosophy of life.
Yeah. So okay. So Thelemite.
We're all getting this tattoo.
Yeah.
You
oh
do
my God,
you.
let's do it.
Let's
You
get
do
a
you.
tattoo.
Yeah. So I guess that was why he was listing it among Satanists, because Satanists are actually also you do you. There's because Satan is a Christian construct. So like to be a Satanist is actually just like. I'm going to butcher this, but I'll talk more about Satanism when I have information from Eric. Yeah, because there's a lot of misconceptions about it. So it fits in with that, with just you do you, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so she's taking out her...
I love that we've just decided that Thelomitism means it's just a you do you religion.
Yeah.
That's the religion of you do you.
Yeah.
That's
you.
what it is.
Yeah.
We've decided
we
it.
Could now teach a class
We're going to
on
tattoo our bodies with it because
sounds great.
Of 10 seconds of looking it up.
We make solid decisions and choices. Yeah.
Back to my wall of conquerings.
Of which we... Yeah, I remember I used to try to count.
I had a list at one point in time, and that was...
Many years
ago. And then I gave up. I remember someone got mad at me. I think, of course, it was probably a dude. Definitely a dude. Cindy's like, oh, yes.
That's what Eric always says. He's like, I have no illusions that you came out of a box when you met me.
Someone got mad at me once because I don't know. I have literally no idea what my number is.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could figure it out, to be honest, at this point.
Yeah.
And I don't care. But some dude one time was like, it felt like I offended him because he he just would not believe me that I didn't know. He was like, how can you not know? And I was like, because I don't. I just don't keep track. And I sleep with more than one person. I don't know. It's been many years of I don't know. I like how, unless you keep track, how would you know?
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like, unless it's a small enough.
Yeah, it's not a small enough number.
Right.
I know that.
It's not.
But like, yeah, he was like so like just could not get past it. And I was like,
so bananas.
I don't know how else to tell you that I don't know. And I don't know why you don't believe that I don't know.
Yeah,
like he
we're
just
also,
wouldn't
like,
believe it. And I was
getting
like,
older.
what do you mean?
Like, we're also getting older. Like,
And why does it offend you
Why
so
does
much
it-
that I
yeah.
like wouldn't keep a detailed list
yeah.
of every man?
You're like,
that
because
I've
I don't
ever been
care
with.
about most of the dicks that I've been with. So
Very
they're
true.
out of my fucking mind and out of my life, like you're about to be.
Goodbye.
Okay, so she's taking off her accoutrement.
Can I just tell one more side story just regarding that?
Sure.
This one chick that I was like in acting class with who I love, I went to her bachelorette party. So it was like, I was like a newer friend and there was like all her like bestie friends from like New York came out and they were talking about like how many people she slept with and stuff. And she was like, I don't know. And she's like a little bit like older and stuff, but she's just like north of 50, south of 100. I was like, that's my favorite description of your
That's
number
perfect.
ever. And
Yeah.
I was like, hell yes, girl. And she's
Yeah.
like, but now one dick for the rest of my life.
Oh my God, I love that.
Because she was like close to like 40 when she got
Sure.
married, basically. So she's like, that was my favorite description
I love that.
ever.
Yeah. Eric's never been weird about that. I really appreciate. So as she's taking off her accoutrement, we are hearing her remembering men in her life talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
So first we're hearing Jerry's voice. And he's like, I love you, Elaine. I love you very much, but you need to be careful. I mean, dinner was late 3 times this week.
Oh, Jerry.
Oh, it gets worse. I get home and the house is a total pigsty. You know, I found a hot dog under the bed this morning and I was like, well, that's pretty gross.
What the fuck?
I mean, that's
I'm sorry.
pretty gross.
Sorry, what?
Hey, you know what? Anna and I found a hot dog in our closet back in college, so no judgments, okay? Sometimes your hot dogs get away from you.
I just feel like in college it's acceptable, but like,
think about when she was probably married. Probably the age that
I
we were in
guess.
college.
how'd that hot dog get under that bed?
Also, I'm like, sometimes
Also, for whatever reason, when you said that, I pictured like under the mattress. Now that I'm picturing it like under the bed, it feels more acceptable.
she was
'cause,
tucking
like,
it away for a midnight
yeah,
snack.
like, it
No,
felt
this
like
was
it was like
under the
just like rolled
bed
under the
frame.
bed somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like into the mattress. Like I was like, how'd that get there?
Sometimes hot dogs get away from you. Okay.
It's just an interesting
Yeah.
choice of a situation.
So that I
Anyway.
was kind of like, yeah, I'm not super into finding hot dogs under the bed, but also like, what are you doing, Jerry?
Right.
How do I know it wasn't
Pick up your own
fucking
hot dogs,
dog?
Jerry.
Yeah, fucking Jerry.
Dandridge.
No, don't besmirch
sorry,
Jerry,
Jerry Dandridge
Dandridge's name
would
like
never
that.
leave a
This
hot dog
is-
under the bed.
Never leave a hot dog under the bed.
Doesn't even eat hot dogs. He only eats apples.
Apples, yeah. So then he's like, and why don't you even brush your hair? You know, I'm embarrassed to even bring people over to the house.
Fuck you, Jerry.
Fuck you, Jerry.
Oh.
So the poor
Oh,
thing.
I'm so glad that I murdered him.
Yeah, yeah. So the poor thing.
I don't know that yet, but I'm assuming that's what happened and he deserved it.
Yeah. So now we hear another voice. And it's, I have a crazy bitch for a daughter. What? You're not crazy? Well, if you're not crazy, then you're stupid. So
Wow.
which is it? Are you crazy or are you stupid?
Ouch.
You could also stand to lose a few pounds while we're at it.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Wow, this is really hitting the marks. You were right.
Yep.
Where do things come from?
Yep.
Wow.
So now she's laying in bed, and here's where it gets really sad. We see that she's like hearing this abusive talk in her head and like kind of masturbating to it.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so now we hear a voiceover of Jerry
Oh
again.
no.
And this is clearly like,
Oh, sweet baby Elaine.
no, well, maybe. Okay. This is clearly maybe after her and Jerry got divorced, because he's like, oh my God, Elaine, you've lost so much weight. You have such a hot body now. And then
Yeah.
he's like, do
Fuck
you
you.
like it? Do you like it when I touch you like this? I want to make you come, Elaine. And she's like clearly imagining this. Now,
Or it's like a fantasy, maybe. You know,
it could be. Yeah, who knows? now we see Gayan standing over her, like imagined. And we see a flashback to a sex ceremony with Gayan.
Probably the sex magic class.
And he's like, don't be afraid, Elaine. I would never hurt you. I'm not the big bad wolf. You need to have perfect love and perfect trust. Then we're sort of... I mean, things are... Elaine was not...
I'm so...
Yeah. She was not set up for success. Yeah. She was only set up for
crawly.
So now we're seeing like the actual sex ceremony, like the flashback of it. And she looks really nervous at this ceremony. She's kneeling down, hands tied, naked, blindfolded. All of these caped, flaccid penises.
Naked cape people,
around.
right? Yeah.
And now she's being laid on an altar, and Gayan is saying how the first altar was a woman, and a man holds an atem over her belly, and then a woman holds a chalice under the atem, and the man stabs the atem into the chalice, symbolizing like the chalice is a woman's womb and the atem is the penis. And then Gayan is on top of her.
I'm so upset.
Yeah.
Okay.
She looks not into it. Now back to present day, and she appears to have like finished masturbating. So she was masturbating to her own abuse. Not great.
I'm just... Explain my face.
It's as small as she can make it. Her eyes are closed as if to say, make the thoughts go away. Now she's taking a little peek. It's it was not great. So now we cut to a police station.
Okay.
And we have a detective dude named Griff who's in like a suit. And then we have an officer, Griff McGriff. Yeah.
Scruff McGruff. What was his name? Jerry McGruff.
Jerry McGruff. Oh, yeah. It was McGruff. I think we learned it was just McGruff, the crime dog.
Right. We like kept track. There was no first name.
But we thought, we were like, maybe
or that was the Mandela effect. And when we were kids, I really think he had a first name. Scruff McGruff. Wasn't it Scruff McGruff?
I'm going to look it up.
Or Jerry.
Jerry McGruff.
Jerry McGruff.
But what if that's the Mandela effect? I really think he had a first name, and now he doesn't.
Yeah. So
in another dimension, he did.
We have an officer, female officer, beautiful, walking up to him, and she's like, "Good morning, Sergeant. Congrats on your promotion." And very classically 60s handsome dude. And Griff says, "Thanks, Connie. Any coffee this morning?" That was good, huh?
Yeah. I really saw that.
Yeah.
McGruff was just the crime dog. Scruff McGruff was his nephew.
Scruff McGruff was his nephew. I still think that in my dimension as a child, his name was Scruff McGruff.
Cindy,
but maybe I'm wrong.
You're legit hired. You're going to need to tell your husband that you're moving to California and that you have a job as our researcher. So we can't pay you yet, but eventually it's in the cards.
We need to get a mic, and then you can be like our Steven on My Favorite Murder.
Oh my God, our Steven. Cindy!
I need to get paid. This is priceless.
So he's thanks, Connie. And she's like, made it just the way you like it. And he says, is there anything you can't do well?
No.
And she says, why don't you try me out tonight?
Whoa.
And he's like,
Connie.
Okay, Connie. And then he goes and gets coffee with a dude who we learn is his partner. And Griff is like, how's the coffee? And his partner is like, it's too strong. And his partner's like, now that you have that promotion, you should settle down. And Griff is like, nope. And
No,
thank you.
If you know what you got to know what you want.
You know what? Be
as
careful.
Long as you're honest.
Be careful the leeway you give Griff. Because he's you know what? Spoiler alert, he's a piece of shit.
Oh,
so,
damn it.
Now the blonde woman that was talking to Wayne comes in.
Sorry, Wayne. Got it.
To the police station.
Right.
And she says she thinks Wayne was kidnapped.
Well, if I cast my spell on her, this wouldn't happen.
That's all right. You know what? your faith in your own magical powers is impressive and misplaced. So
I'm a magical miracle. And
are a
I
magical
create
miracle.
my desires
I
into
agree.
my reality.
So cut to blonde lady taking Griff and his partner to Wayne's cabin.
Do you mean to do it in Wayne's cabin?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they go in and they just find old food, like from their dinner,
Steak.
just laying out, maggot covered, gross. Like the smell is like overpowering and terrible. Then they just go out to the grave that is freshly dug and very much obvious. And they find a burn dress and a witch jar. And the men pick up the witch jar and read the tampon inside. They're like, what is this? And they're both like, I have no idea.
What could it possibly be?
So listen up, guys. You need to get comfortable with periods or you won't be able to solve murder cases.
there you go.
Because you won't know what a tampon
Survival
looks like.
guide.
Yeah. So now Blondie is crying. And Griff is like, well, I guess we got to dig up the grave. So they're digging up the grave. Cut to Elaine and Richard.
Elaine.
She
Richard.
Just
I'm not at
made
both of
him.
you.
Oh,
Okay.
you should be. She just made him dinner at her apartment.
I mean, you know what? Trish is wonderful.
She's great. No,
Why
Trish
would
is
either one of you
fucking
assholes do this to Trish?
great. And she's like really cute, really smart, British accent.
Oh my God, you didn't even tell me that
I
part.
know. She's so adorable.
Oh my
And
God.
so they're smoking, which I just like couldn't get over. Just like seeing people light up is so weird. And
That always makes me really want to smoke, though.
me too. I know it really does. So they're drinking wine and Elaine is like, how long have you been married? And he's like, 10 years. And Elaine's like, you love her so much. No one ever loved me that much. No one. And he's like, didn't your husband love you? She's like, he didn't love me. He couldn't wait to get away from me. Richard then says,
Wow.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I think Trish wants to get away from me too. And then she turns to him and says, poor baby. Poor baby.
Mm-hmm.
She pours him wine from a carafe.
Mm-hmm.
Never drink wine from a carafe.
Survival guide.
You need to see the bottle opened or you're poisoned. And then she also pours it into like an Amy Schumer sketch-sized goblet, like the size of his head. Also, if you haven't seen that sketch, the parody of Friday Night Lights, it's one of her best. Go look it up.
But you've all seen that gif, though.
Yeah,
Of like her
it's
just drinking out of the giant wine
fucking
glass.
best.
So funny.
So he's like,
She went to Towson with us and Cindy.
Hey!
We were theater majors together.
You guys, fucking Towson cranks out
That's
talent.
right.
Okay. So he's like, and drinks it awkwardly, both hands. I'm like, oh God.
I mean, I don't know how else to drink a goblet the size of my head
Agreed.
besides both hands.
I
Like,
just
you must
realized
be
that,
like,
there's something where your power is just stripped from you if you have to drink something with two hands.
because you become like a baby.
Yeah, exactly. So she asks, she's like, what turns
I
you
actually feel
on?
more powerful when I do that, though.
But you have to do it
I'm like
yes.
intentionally like.
But what Kim is doing is she's harnessing the power. If you're holding the goblet with both hands because you're afraid you'll drop it, then you just
you're
look like a
whoop, whoop, whoop.
turd baby.
A little turd Berg Ferguson.
Yeah. So she's like, what turns you on? And he's like, wow, no one's ever asked me that before. And he's like, flying really turns me on.
Interesting.
And then he starts lamenting his life. And he's like, I just feel like my life is slipping away. I've never done anything like had an affair or gotten into mischief. And here's Kim. By the way, Kim and Cindy are in unison. So if you hear Kim going, and then a slight echo, that's our Cindy as well. Now, here's the mischief, quote unquote, that he fantasizes about getting into. Like Steve McQueen robbing a bank with a sexy, messed up girl on my arm. Or a Western where we shoot up the place and then go visit the prostitutes.
Wow.
And Elaine goes, that's very sweet. And I was like, is it, bitch? And then he says, Trish doesn't like it when I talk this way. And I'm like, yeah, you're talking about fucking prostitutes in the Old West, motherfucker.
And just shooting up places.
And having a messed up girl on your arm. No, you are lucky to have a stable fucking queen like Trish. You fucking piece of shit. So
I have nothing to add to that.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Yeah. So then Elaine
Slow
is
clap.
like, yeah. So then Elaine's like, she doesn't understand you, but I understand you perfectly.
Elaine,
I know. Elaine, stop it.
Richard, stop it. Elaine, stop it.
Everyone stop it. Everyone but Trish, stop it. So then she's like, you want to have a sordid love affair. So she puts on music and she starts dancing for him. And he's laughing like a fucking doofus. Like, I would not, like, I'd be like, my lady boner is just shrunk up into my body. Like, he's just like, it was so upsetting. And she's just like throwing her 60s underwear at him. And then he like grabs her legs and is kissing her frantically. And then they tumble onto the couch and he's like, who are you? What are you doing to me? And she's like, I'm the love witch. I'm your ultimate fantasy.
I see. I see the sociopathy that's working here.
Yeah. Cut to the police station.
Hashtag therapy.
So now we cut back to the police station. Griff is going to talk to an expert on witchcraft. Oh, interesting.
What? You asked what?
I'll tell you in a moment. And he's like,
wait.
The dude died of heart failure, but also Jimson weed was present, which is also known as devil's weed, and it causes hallucinations. Yes.
Hallucinations.
Yes.
Correct.
And he says to his partner, I want to go investigate this alone. Where do you go first? Where does he go? But I realize I just gave you the answer.
To talk to an expert on witchcraft.
Right. I didn't realize that I wrote it that way. I meant to write, like, I just fucked it up. So I was like, well, there's the answer. So where do you go?
To talk to an expert on witchcraft.
You're a fucking genius.
Thank you so much. Wow. I'm nailing this.
So here was a really interesting commentary that happened. This movie is very white.
Mm-hmm.
The only two black people in this movie are Connie, the one who's like, hey, Griff, and his partner.
Mm-hmm.
Both people of color in this movie are told by Griff to make him coffee or order him a sandwich. I cannot help but think that was intentional.
Right.
And so that's also something I want to look up, because this is so stylized, so intentional. Right. There's literally no other people of color in this entire movie.
It seems very
And I was like, that feels poignant. So I want to look that up. If it wasn't, then that's kind of a whole other issue, but whatever. So just very interesting. Yeah. Cut to Griff with a professor of the occult studies at like a college or whatever. And he explains what a witch bottle is. A witch bottle is basically you would put a bunch of things into a bottle for protection or to ward things off. It often included bodily fluids of some kind, sometimes with herbs or something sharp, being like, stay out spirits.
Like protection.
And then he kind of just starts talking about, like, Griff is kind of like, are witches real? Like, what is this? And the occult person is just like, yeah, I mean, they're real. Then he sort of goes into, like, some generalized misinformation about witches. So, like, clearly even, like, the person of the occult studies is, like, talking about, like, a mockery of Christian rituals, which is maybe there are some witches out there that do that. But in general, like, witches are like, we were first.
Yeah,
we
I
don't really
understand.
give a
I'm like,
shit
Christians
about.
are mocking Wiccan rituals.
Well, it's like he showed like an image of like witches kissing the devil's behind in like a mockery of witch Christian rituals, or a satanic cult sacrificing children. And it's just like, it's just a lot of misinformation. Like Satanists they're like, yeah. I'll talk about Satanism in a postmortem.
I was just thinking that a witch jar today would be a real gotcha for your crimes.
Oh yeah,
You just leave a jar of your DNA next to your
sure.
dead body, and you're like, well,
There I am. There's
There
my
we go.
DNA. Well,
protection, but
you've done a little bit of foreshadowing, Ms. Burns.
oh wow.
So he's just, I don't know. It was just some misinformation, and like he's like, there are black witches who like perform human sacrifices. Sure, maybe, but like witches and Wiccans wouldn't claim them as witches. Like they'd be like, you're not, because Wicca and witchcraft is do no harm. That's like the one rule. So he talks about like white witches are the ones who do no harm.
Ew, I hate that it's like white and black.
Exactly. Cindy just said like white and black is also problematic as well. So basically this is just Griff getting information. Now we cut to a full moon, and Gayan is kissing up the body of Barbler in a ritual, and Elaine is there in a large circle of nakeds. And
Naked capes.
No, just nakeds. No, they're sans capes.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
And Barb, I wrote this, is a bad actor, but also seemed just a choice where it like her dialogue is very stilted, like this. And as they're going through the ritual, Elaine is remembering Wayne and boning him and burying him. And they all dance in a circle. And I wrote many body types and flaccid peni, which I found refreshing. So cut to the little party afterwards, after their ritual. And Gayan is just like being really lecherous. Like he comes up to Elaine and like grabs her boob.
What the fuck?
And Elaine is just like, get off. But then she goes up to Barbler.
Please don't touch my body without my consent.
Yeah, like my body is mine, Gayan, please. And so then she goes up to Barb, but like doesn't have an issue with Barb about Gayan being lecherous. So she says to Barb, she's like, I'm back in the dating pool again. And Barb is like, what about that married man you were fucking? And Elaine is like, that married man got too emotional and morose and far too feminine. There was no polarity. I should have known. He's a Pisces. And I was like, oh, my husband is a Pisces. He's very emotional and feminine, and I love it. I don't really know anything about the signs, but I just thought that was interesting. So now we cut to a letter, like the camera's on a letter and a man's hand is holding it. And the letter says, Darling Elaine, why haven't you returned my calls? I'll die if I don't see you. Then we see that it's Richard, and he looks fucking haggard. Like he doesn't even remember what a shower is. And he has a tarot spread in front of him. It's the 9 of Swords, which is basically, we've pulled that a couple times for Sync, which is basically like your anxieties and your worst fears are coming true. Like your anxiety is getting the best of you, kind of thing. And then the 3 of Swords, which is suffering and disappointment. And then the Devil card, which tends to represent like you're falling into your baser needs, like you're falling prey to unhealthy temptation is usually what the Devil card means. So pretty spot on what's happening with Richard. He pours himself another drink, but in that unhealthy way. You know how you can tell someone's pouring a drink to have a little fun and how someone is pouring a drink to mask all of their pain?
Yeah, I do.
It looks different. He's masking all of his pain.
Been there.
Trish then comes in and he hides the letter away real quick, and he's like super fucking shitty to her because they're at his house now. And she's like, I'm going to bed and I'm taking a pill. Okay. He ignores her and he just starts drinking straight from the bar cart. And he's like, I have some more work to do. And clearly that work is being a dick and drinking himself into oblivion.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, all right, see you tomorrow. So she leaves and he bursts into tears. On the stairs, Trish is like, what the fuck? Like, what is fucking happening?
Yeah.
She's like, I went away to a fucking interior design convention and I come back to this sad sack of turd. and then it's like just him sobbing and imagining that night with Elaine and her like walking through fire. And he just looks bad. Cut to Griff walking in.
I feel like that's really what happened with the pheromones. Like, remember your guy called you for like when we already moved, he was real upset
that
like,
I moved.
He was like, can I come? Didn't he want to come out?
Yeah, he wanted
and
to
stuff?
come visit. I was like, sir, I don't recall your name.
Yeah, like
please don't
he
come
was
visit
real
me.
Fucking. We created a love spell.
Cindy just said we don't know our own power. No, I do. It was the pheromones. I'm aware.
Those
of my
pheromones
power.
were a real love spell or
Yeah.
something. Love
It was
magic.
bananas. So, cut to Griff walking into the apothecary. Wendy is there, and he asks if she recognizes the witch's bottle. I feel like he still doesn't know it's a used tampon in there because he's just like pulling out a jar of pee and blood. And he's like, do you know what this is? And like the women are like, it's a fucking used tampon that you're shoving in my face right now. And she's like, I don't know who made it, but I know what it is. It's a witch bottle. And she shows him that they now sell witch bottles. And she'd like, we'd never sold them before until this person started supplying them. Her name's Elaine.
Uh-oh.
So cut to Elaine at her laboratory potion station in her apartment. And Griff comes to her door and wants to ask about the homicide. And he's like, it's just routine, no big deal. You're not a suspect, whatever. She's in the cutest outfit set. Like it's one of those things where it's like long sleeves with bells on them, but like tied right under the boobs and then like
cute.
Little matching bell-bottom pants. And she says she didn't know Wayne Peters and never seen him before, and I guess I can't help. Bye. Then he shows her the magic bottle from the store. And she's like, yeah, I made it. And then he pulls out the bottle they found. Luckily, her cauldron starts to smoke. And she's like, oh, I'm on fire, and like goes over to it. And then he's like, are you a witch? And she's like, yes, is that a crime? And he's like, no, I guess not. And she's like, just because I'm a witch, you think me capable of murder? Witchcraft is my religion, older than Christianity. It saved my life. And then she starts to cry like a little fawn. And he comes over and he's like, oh, you're crying. I don't know what to do.
I don't know how to handle this. Oh, God.
Emotions. And so he goes over to comfort her and says he's sorry he offended her. She turns to him and turns on the eyeballs. So the camera's just on the eyeballs. Mm-hmm. And then he smiles and says, you can call me Griff. And she's like, I know I've seen you before. And Griff says, I feel that way too. She says, I know. You're the man from the cards. You're my fate. I always knew that if that showed up in a future reading, I was going to meet the man I was going to marry. I did a Celtic cross reading and I got the Knight of Wands. Oh, I knew I was going to marry the Knight of Wands. But the man I marry has to love animals. Do you love animals?
He's like,
Griff?
yeah, I'm a dog. Of course I love animals.
Yeah. So
my nephew's Scruff McGruff.
Oh, right. Scruff McGruff. I got it. Yep. Uh-huh. So what's interesting is the Knight of Wands is like not who you want to marry. I found this really interesting. The Knight of Wands is like represents like a quick, passionate love affair that probably won't last with a very cocky, selfish, like full of himself kind of man. So I found that really weird that I was like, why you want to marry the Knight of Wands? Like he's a fucking playboy. So ask Griff, Ms. Burns, what do you do and what does he do as a woman that you've just met who you're possibly investigating for murder says you're her fate?
Well, once again, I'm in no datitude, no datuary, February.
No
Feb-date. How does February and dating rhyme?
The problem is February is a nonsensical,
word.
illogical, stupid word.
No date September.
Yep, there we go. It's a bananas word if you really think about it.
Yeah,
it's
the
technically
whole R in the middle.
Yeah, it's
that no one
technically
pronounces.
February.
Yeah,
only a sociopath says it that way. February.
Maya just posted. Did you see Maya's video?
I did.
Maya
Did she say
Stoyan, who was like on
February?
episode 10. Yeah, she just posted a video about like she's doing a thing for the month of February, which
Yeah.
is really sweet. You should check her out.
Yeah, it's on her. I think
on
it's
Instagram.
on an actual post.
It's like
as well as her stories.
giving love to yourself and to other people every day for the
Maya
month.
Stoyan, MayaStojan.
But she specifically says that, and someone specifically commented, being like, "I love
February?
that you pronounced it correctly."
Okay, Maya, I take it back. You're not a sociopath. You just pronounced the second month of the year incorrectly.
What are we doing? Dating. No dating. Well, we're still trying to figure out how to fucking say that.
We
I
have
don't
to,
know.
We have to move through it.
I know.
Honestly, I
God
need you to
damn,
tell me.
I need an answer by the end of this episode.
This crazy, beautiful, sociopathic witch fawn.
Okay.
tells you
I'm on no date September.
right.
So I'm going to go, good day, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm going to leave.
Okay.
Also, I know that I was lying when I didn't think she was maybe a suspect.
Sure.
So, yeah, I don't want to get involved with a lady who murdered someone. And he obviously is. I don't think I answered for him, but you gave me 2 points, so I'll take it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Well,
You knew what I was going to say.
I knew what you were gonna
Obviously, he was under the spell.
I think you're about to get a perfect score.
No, I definitely missed.
Something.
Something.
Okay. Well, you're getting a very good score. So he's like, I love animals. In fact, my friend has a couple of horses. Tomorrow's my day off. Want to ride, Elaine?
Remember the love and the horses?
Yep. Which also Elaine is remembering. And so she's like, it's happening.
Horses?
I was right. All of that
I knew
sort of.
all along.
Yep.
Wow, this is called your fantasizing and obsession in
This
your
is
love
called
addiction.
You are addicted to love. I told you this was weirdly triggering. It's about
Wow.
a witch who's
Wow.
love addicted. Yeah.
Wow, it's a good thing we're talking about this week
Yep.
because if it was any time before this week, I'd
Yep.
be like, well, becoming a love witch. So I can attract men into my life
Oh my
and
god! And I'd be your
make them
barbler.
obsessed with me.
I'd be your barbler,
Yeah.
being like, "Love spells are kind of dangerous." Okay, so
I think that your song lead-in for this week should be Robert Palmer's "Addicted to Love."
Addicted to
yes,
love.
Eric, please remember this. Okay, so cut to them riding horses together. Her horse's name is Patchouli, obviously, and Griff is like, "How's my girl?" And she's like, "Am I your girl?" And he's like, "Today you are. And there's no one around to tell me otherwise." And then she goes, "Except me." And he goes, "What does that mean?" And she's like, "Nothing." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what that means either,
What?
bitch. I don't know.
either.
I think she
I
just,
don't know what either one of you were talking
yeah,
about.
I think she was just kind of like trying to be cute and then realized that she said something that didn't make any
She's
sense.
trying to make a joke. Been there.
Yeah. Are you the failed love witch? Is that what's happening? I'm really glad you're getting this figured out, honestly.
What? That wasn't funny? Oh, I don't know what I meant.
I don't know. I didn't
just
say that.
said-
Who said that? That was a terrible joke. Do you hear that terrible joke that stranger that disappeared made?
Horses, right?
Okay. So then they hear music, and it's a jaunty tune, Kim.
Which sounds like, just kidding. I know what your jaunty
You know
tune
what my
sounds
jaunty
like. We've
tune
all
sounds.
heard it
Sounds
many
the
times.
same every time. It's a ren-faire in the middle of the woods.
Oh my.
And it is a cheesy, ornate cosplay type
Fun.
shit. Real LARPing going on. Okay? Some real LARP shit happening. And Eric fucking shaded me so hard where I was like, I'm into this stuff, like dressing up and stuff, but I'm not like a dork like these people. And he goes, oh, no, you're a dork. And I was like, wait, what? And he was like, do you think there's like a cool version of this? I was like,
Truth.
Yeah, I know.
Truth, facts.
He was like, I think it's
facts,
so
truth.
cute that you're like trying to separate yourself
Hashtag
from your people.
Truth, facts.
Yeah. So turns out it's Gayan and Barb who were like LARPing it up. And there's like a play battle happening on like a Renaissance stage between the Oak Man and the Holly King to symbolize the summer solstice. And like there's like a fake battle with wooden swords and they're both battling for the Green Maiden and the Holly King defeats the oak tree, blah, blah, blah. And then he takes the Green Maiden off stage and it's like the summer.
Yeah.
And Griff, who's like too cool for school, is like, do you know these people? And she's like, in a way. And then fucking Gayan and Barb come up and they're like, hey, person we know very intimately.
This is like me in college where I'm half cool, half theater.
Yep. And we were like, hey, Kim, how are you?
And I'm like, what? I don't know. How do you know my name? I'm hanging with frat guys right now.
And we were like, this bitch, we hang out with her all the time. Do you know she's a theater major? So they're invited to join in the celebration. And all the players come around and they're like, 2 people in love. Let's hold a mock wedding for them. So they're whisked off. And 2 people start singing the dorkiest song I've ever heard. / I loved it. Mm-hmm. And it's like blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, but when love dies, all life it does destroy. And it's like a court jester singing it along with some bards and things. And they're all dancing about. And both Elaine and Griff are whisked off, undressed and redressed into, you know, garbly LARPing type garb.
Garbly larply garb.
Yeah. And they're giggling and such, and it's very playful. And they put a crown on each of them, and they're dressed all in white. And they're married in front of a painting of the sun. And I'm kind of back in. I'm into it. Her dress is beautiful. And so they perform a whole ceremony where they like tie their hands together, put rings on them. And then Gayan is like, now ye are wed. So they sit at the feast and they're tended to by everyone. She feeds him grapes. And they're just like, while this next voiceover is happening, they're just canoodling. They're just canoodling the whole time. Both of them. Both of them are as into it as the other. Okay. Then we hear his voiceover. I'm not.
Bitch is crazy.
Oh, wait. So you've seen this? No, that's literally what he says. He says, I'm not in love. It's not that I don't have sentiment. It's just that love is soft. You need guts in this business. I've seen guys get shot to death because they fell in love and got soft inside. I do want an heir someday, and then I would need to have a wife, but
Ew.
Love is something else. A man can get destroyed by things like that. It's like he's not even a man anymore. I never want to get that way. I was like, Griff, leave. Goodbye. So toxic masculinity is right, Cindy. So then we hear her voiceover.
Oh, no.
Oh, this is put your trigger pants on and tie them up real tight. So
I'm wearing pants up to my shoulders so they cover my heart as
pretty
well.
much, yeah.
Protective trigger pants.
When you really love him, it's like fireworks and nothing else matters. You love all the little quirks about him, the way he slurps his cereal, the way his mouth is a little crooked. Those details about him become your whole life. Something inside you opens up like a flower, and you realize that you have more love to give than you ever thought possible. 'Cause the more you know him, the more you love him. Cut to his voiceover again. Just tighten that trigger pants belt. He says, the more you get to know a woman, the less you can feel about her. At first, she's this incredible object of mystery who fulfills all your wildest fantasies.
Fuck.
Then she starts to reveal little flaws.
Fuck you, Griff.
The feminine ideal only exists in a man's mind. No woman could ever fulfill it. She tries to love you more. It's suffocating, like you're drowning in estrogen. The most awful feeling.
Oh my God.
Womp, womp.
I'm fucking strangling this guy with my used tampon.
You should. 100%. This is what a tampon looks like, bitch. So, cut to police station. Coffee chick wants to have dinner. And he says, I can't tonight.
Connie.
I got plans. I know,
You
Connie.
can do better, Connie.
Also, Connie is like fucking stunning.
Connie.
Stunning.
You can do
And
better,
she's
Connie.
like-
You deserve better.
She's like a fucking badass cop.
Like, hello?
Like, you are too good for Griff, bitch. Okay. So the partner is like, I have more info on Elaine. And Griff is like, leave it alone. The captain is convinced that it was a heart attack of Wayne, and it's his policy to leave witches alone.
What?
And I was like, that's the policy.
The police station.
The official policy is leave witches alone. And partner is like, even if they murder. And Griff is just like not hearing it. So the partner is like, can I just like fucking tell you what I found? And he's like, Elaine used to run an organic beauty supply store with her husband. 2 years later, they're divorced. She moved to San Francisco, joined a coven, and started dancing burlesque. The police station questioned them when members mysteriously died in the fucking coven. The ex-husband then died of an overdose from a drug he'd never taken before, right before he was going to remarry.
Interesting.
And Griff says, if the San Francisco police didn't see anything, then fuck off. And the partner is like, Wayne, like, oh, he's like, Wayne was poisoned by devil's weed. And Griff is like, he was growing devil's weed in his cabin. He didn't know it was devil's weed or something. Like, he's just grasping at straws. Griff refuses to question. And the partner is like, because you're in love with her. Griff then punches him.
Whoa.
Badly in like a really 1960s way where they didn't have the right special effects. So it's very like boof. And like the angle is set like,
Oh my God. Hilarious.
like high school stage production punching.
Right.
Just the commitment was amazing. So cut to Trish now. Okay. So partner just got punched. Griff is not going to question Elaine. Cut to Trish now pouring coffee in her house. She seems really distressed. And she goes upstairs looking for Richard. The door to the bathroom is locked.
Oh no.
So she breaks in. There's blood on the bathroom floor. She pulls the curtain back. He slit his wrists.
It's like it fucking.
Yeah.
It.
Yeah. Like
It.
it's like
The
it.
middle.
Yeah.
It's it right before you change to VHS part 2.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And then I wrote so stylized, like the camera like zooms in on Trisha's mouth screaming. Like,
Right. Yeah.
So now we're back at the tea room. Here's where Elaine's sociopathy is just unmaskable. She is no longer able to fit into society as a normal reacting human person. And Trish is all in black. And Trish says she blames herself.
Oh, Trish.
And she's like, I should have tried harder to please him.
Trish.
I guess you were right all along.
Trish.
Now this bitch Elaine is like barely able to contain her smile. Like she cannot keep her shit together. No poker face. And she's talking to Trish in the sing-songy way that she talks to guys too. So Trish says she knows that Richard was having an affair and that's when it changed him. And he wanted a certain type of woman. And I guess you are supposed to give them the fantasy.
Trish.
Poor Trish. Then she kind of starts to cry. And Trish, being the fucking class act that she is like, you know what? Enough about me. How are you?
Trish.
And Elaine,
You're my best friend.
without missing a beat, goes, I'm in love.
Oh my God.
And I wrote, this bitch. So Kim,
What?
this is not really a dead or alive question. This is just a friend question. If your husband just died and you politely were saying enough about me, how are you? And the response was, "Oh, I'm in love." What do you do and what does Trish do?
Well, first of all, I have amazing friends.
You do.
So they would never do that.
No.
So it's not really a reality in my life. But let's see. And what does Trish do? Okay. I think Trish just Trishes it up, and she's just so sweet and like it's like, oh great, like is supportive and stuff of Elaine. I mean, let's face it, I feel my feelings deeply.
Do you?
And I really like to share them
I didn't know that about
with
you.
everyone. And I expect all the attention for it.
Yep.
So back to me, bitch.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you wouldn't be friends with this bitch in the
No, I
first
would never
place.
would.
Like, she's unpenetrable. Like, you'd be like, you're a robot.
Yeah.
So,
If we can have deep combos, I get bored real quick.
yeah. So she's just describing him, and Trish is like, cool. Elaine starts telling Trish about Griff, and she's like, and he gave me this, and shows her like the ring from the Ren Fest, and she's like, it's not a real wedding ring, but I think it's going to happen soon. And then Trish is like, when we first came here, I showed you my wedding ring. How the tides have turned, right? And she kind of hands the ring to Trish to be like, look at it, you know, if you want to try it on. And I'm like, the bitch knows what a ring looks like on her hand.
Try it on.
So Trish
This
being
is not, my husband just killed himself.
yeah, being the polite person she is, she like puts it on her hand. And then all of a sudden, Elaine goes, Trish, I'm sorry, I have to go. And she just gets up and leaves the mourning woman in black at the bubblegum tea room. And I'm like, you're a sociopath.
And also a bad friend.
And a bad witch also.
Yeah.
So Trish stays and Elaine gives her a half-hearted hug. And I wrote, the narcissism is strong with this one. And then Elaine looks at her hand. She's like, oops, Elaine forgot to get her ring back from me. So Kim, what do you do and what does Trish decide to do?
I mean, Trish is the nicest lady alive. So she is like, oh my gosh, I need to give this ring back to Elaine. So I'm going to follow her, find her to give it back to her.
Okay. What do you do?
I'm like, what is this? What's this made of? Diamonds? What do I got? What are we talking? I don't know. Fuck that bitch.
You're like, pawn shop, here I come.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't follow her.
One point for Trish. This is where Trish's good heart
came in handy.
Ooh. Because she leaves Trish. Trish leaves Elaine a message on her cell phone. This is where I was like, cell phones.
What's
okay.
happening?
And Trish says, I'll drop it off at your house. Because remember, she like has a key to the apartment.
Oh, right.
So she stops off the house and she's going, and she's like, Elaine, like definitely being like, are you home? But then she lets herself in and she goes over to the altar and sees a mess of really dirty paintings. And I'm talking like bitch bent over with a dude licking her butthole paintings. Okay. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm into it. Yeah.
Orphan paintings. Yes.
And then she sees like spells and candles and lingerie just kind of like draped over everything. And she goes into the bedroom to like leave the ring in a more secure place. Cause like she put it down on the altar, but was kind of like, this is a mess. And kind of got the sense that she was like, I'll go put it on like her vanity.
Yeah.
Where it like won't get lost. And so she goes in the bedroom, leaves the ring in a safe place. And then she can't but help herself, and she sits down at the vanity. Mm-hmm. And she puts on her lipstick. Mm-hmm. She's definitely like, maybe I need to be more like Elaine.
Her, yeah.
So then what'll it hurt if I put on her blue eyeshadow? and her false eyelashes are right here. I may as well just put them on. They don't look as good without the wig. I'll just put that on too. Then she starts trying on her lingerie. And then the pink robe. And she's kind of spinning around the room when she sees the bedroom altar. And it's pictures of all the men. Richard? A picture of Richard is on the fucking altar. And she picks it up. And there's also pictures of Elaine and Richard like hugging and like getting their portrait taken. Kim,
Fire!
what do you do? What does Trish do? Were those your fire sounds?
That was fire from the depths of my soul.
I think maybe again, just stick with the chainsaw sounds.
Oh. I mean, how do you make fire sounds?
Well, not that way. Stick with what you're good at, you know?
Crackle, crackle, crackle.
Crackle. No.
Like, what is fire sound? Anyway, I'm pissed.
Yeah. What you gonna do, bitch?
There's fire in my soul. Interesting. Okay. But also I want to stay alive.
You do. Yeah.
But also fuck this bitch.
Right. Both correct.
I am going to... Okay, I think she... God damn it. I wanna like... Because I'm like wearing all her stuff. Like I want to like become a witch now or something. Like I want to like use her shit against her. Maybe I will use her shit against her. How do I do that? Like, can I do magic? I don't know how. All right. I think she's going to try to do some magic.
Okay.
Against Elaine.
Okay.
And also fuck thing.
Also fuck something.
I was going to say, that is the only word that came out of my mouth. I was going to say fuck things up with Griff. But I feel like he's doing that anyway.
Yeah.
I don't really need to even fucking bother with that.
I'm gonna give Kim a hint. I think.
Oh,
Okay,
Cindy's giving a
Cindy,
hint.
please.
Let's hear it. Okay,
That's what
so
I
you
needed.
think Trish does a spell, finds a spell book, does a spell, tries
I
to do a
do.
spell. Okay, and what do you do? Did we already do this? Are we in a time warp?
Decide.
She just lights the apartment on fire.
I know. I'm just like a glowing fire being.
Okay. Glowing fire being. I'm gonna go ahead and give you no points.
No,
Sorry.
wait, I didn't answer for myself yet.
You said you're a glowing fire being.
I said how I was feeling. It's not what I'm doing.
Okay, what's your answer?
I'm doing glowing fire being. It's not even. Doesn't even make sense.
Kim. I'm not in your brain. Okay.
I know, right?
You're right.
I want to. I want to murder her, but that doesn't. It seems like I might get in trouble for that.
I mean, really, murdering a witch is kind of different thing to do.
Yeah, maybe if I'm gonna murder her, but then like make it look ritualized, like in her pentagram or something like that. So it looks like, I have nothing to do with it. That's what I'm going to do.
0 points. Because we have to
10
remember
minutes for that to get that 10 minutes for nothing.
We have to remember that Trish is logical. Trish is our suit of swords, if you will, all intellect and practicality and things like that.
She goes to the cops.
And if you were to pin it on the witches, you're basically just starting the next witch hunt. So thanks for that. No points for you. What she does do is she opens the drawer and looks for anything she can. She does find a love spell that says love spell for Richard on it, and letters from him and shit and all this stuff. And she's like losing it, right? And she gathers it all up. Okay. Now we see behind her in the mirror, Elaine is coming in. And Elaine quietly grabs her atem. And just as she's about to stab Trish with her atem, Trish turns around and fucking wrestles Elaine to the ground and wrestles the atem out of her hand easily. Elaine is like a total wuss. And Elaine is just like, stop it. And Trish is just like bitch slapping her. Like, she's just like, you fucking bitch. And Elaine is just like crying like a little fawn. Don't hurt me. I don't understand. Why are you doing this to me?
So what was the answer to the question?
We're getting to it. So Trish then kind of like is like, fuck you, bitch. Like, I'm not going to fucking kill you. But I am going to the cops and I'm showing them all of this shit. All of the shit that says spell for Richard, all of this stuff. Like, you're going to be blamed for this murder. And I also have this spell that says like fucking like Wayne on it. Like, you're done. And bolts out of there. Elaine.
I see.
Yeah. Elaine then crying grabs a talisman and she's just like, crash, crash, crash. Die, die, die. Trying to make it so that Trish dies. Crashes and dies. Cut to Elaine on the sex altar again with all the caped flaccid peni. And this is in real time. And everyone is like around her and they're trying to do a spell to bind her to Griff. And I wrote, why is everyone so involved with this bitch's love life?
Right?
Like, who else needs help with their love life? Like, this bitch is nuts.
I do.
Yeah. Let's put you on a fucking altar. And so now we cut to Griff in the burlesque bar. And he's like sitting at the bar. And the blonde twins are dancing poorly. The ones who speak in unison. Okay. And some of the waitresses say to the bartender, they're like, these bitches can't dance. And the bartender is like, but the customers love them. Because we remember they're doing
just doing
spells.
magic, yeah.
So they start talking, the two waitresses, the bartender, and of course Lloyd. Of course Lloyd is there. Yep. And Griff is like amongst the conversation, listening. And they start talking all about the witchcraft stuff found with the bodies and shit. And Griff is like pretty weirded out. And Elaine walks up. And Griff is like, sit down, Elaine. And she's like, okay. And he's like, the DNA connects you with Wayne. And also, Trish brought me some shit. And Elaine just calmly lights up a cigarette and says, so I was a bad girl. Are you going to punish me? These men just died from loving me too much. And he's like, what about all the spells? And she's like, witchcraft is just a concentration of energy. You can only work with what's already there. I use such sex magic to create love magic. So now Griff is like getting really pissed. And he's like, you don't know love. You have borderline personality disorder. And he's like, your creepy little sex act doesn't work on me. I don't love you. And then she's like, you're a narcissist who can't love. It's all men's fault. You make us work so hard for your love. If you would just love us for ourselves, but you won't. And I was like, well, this is what trauma does, everyone. So she's like, my ex was just like you. He would withhold love to punish me. I've been tossed in the garbage all my life, or men who just use me for my body. So I found witchcraft to find my power. Now I take what I want from men. And Griff is like, well, it won't work this time. She's like, you can't arrest me for being a witch, courting a lover, seducing a married man. It's not a crime. And Griff is like, no, but you did illegally bury a body, and then also we'll find more. And I was like, ooh, good police work, sir. At this point, the waitress comes up, and she just out of nowhere is like, that's the witch that killed the teacher. And
But what?
yeah, it's just like it's going back and forth because now it's like a witch hunt, but also we know that this witch actually is psycho, so it's like that kind of thing. And Bar Lloyd, of course, is like, burn the witch. Now the bar straight up punches Griff in the face, and the whole bar,
Does?
because all of the patrons start chanting like, burn the witch, and they like tackle her to the ground and rip all of her clothes off.
They punch Griff in the face?
To get to her.
Okay.
Because he's like, can we not start chanting burn the witch? Like,
Okay.
I'm a police officer. And they grab her, tackle her to the ground, rip all of her clothes off, and then we just see like men start unbuckling their pants.
What?
Yes. Yeah. And Griff is like, well, I can't just watch a gang rape happen. I am a police officer. So
what? Yeah.
I'll go save this psychopath bitch. And like, he grabs her. He like, uses his strong police man force.
There's many more reasons than just being a police officer to not watch a gang rape.
Right, but also he's
or
Griff.
partake in a gang rape.
But also
everyone
Griff.
stop raping.
But also he's Griff. Yeah. So Griff saves her and gets her out of the bar and into his car, and they drive away. Kim,
Yeah.
as Griff, what do you do? And what does Griff do?
God, I don't know what this fucker does. What? Okay. I take her to the police station.
Okay, what does Griff do?
Booker Dano.
Sorry?
Booker Dano.
Booker Dano?
Isn't that it's a saying from Hawaii Five-0.
Hawaii Five-0? Huh?
Hawaii Five-0?
Cindy! Oh.
Sunday?
I've never seen Hawaii Five-0, so. Okay.
I don't know if the new one does it, but the old one back in the day.
Ah, I see.
It
It just sounded like you forgot how to pronounce Danny, so that's why I was confused.
No, he's Hawaiian. His
Got
name's
it.
Dano.
Oh.
I think because Hawaii Five-0.
Sure.
Got it. Yep.
Sure.
He. Fuck it. Does the same. I don't know.
1 point. Yeah, take her to the fucking police station. Like, you saved her from the gang rape. Good job, police officer. But also, she's a suspect for murder, so just take her to the police station.
Yeah.
He takes her to her house. And he goes upstairs with her. So now we cut to her altar, and we see a picture of Griff with a red rose in front of it and his badge sitting on her altar.
Oh, shit.
And she comes in all demure and loving, and he's just sitting on her bed staring straight forward, all like roughed up, like he got punched and shit. And she's taking care of him. And she's like, everything will be okay because I love you so much. And he's just staring straight ahead, not responding. And she gives him a chalice to drink from. He takes it, stares at her, and dumps it on the ground.
Whoa.
And just scowls at her. She gets really upset, but beautifully so. And she looks down at the ground and like imagines seeing the Three of Swords again. The disappointment, the suffering again. And she kind of backs away and puts her hands up as if she's blocking herself from the blinding light of disappointment. And as she's looking at him, his head turns into a skull. Then it's all of her men saying I love you to her, like on his body. Then she goes to her altar and picks up the rose. And she just sees him lay down on the bed so she can like see what he's doing in the mirror. And he just kind of like lays down on the bed, like exhausted, not like come hither. Bitch just walks right the fuck over to him and stabs him in the chest with her atem 3 times.
Shit.
Just like the tarot card.
Wow.
And then she looks at her painting of the woman and the man stab painting, where it's like after she's just stabbed the man, and she just smiles and imagines them together at the ren-faire. And she imagines him saying, I love you. I want to marry you. As he lays on the bed choking on his own blood.
Oh,
after
my
she stabbed him.
God.
And all of the music drops out, and all we hear is the sound of nature and the sound of horse hooves as he walks her away, and she smiles in her white ren-faire garb, and a jester jauntily jaunts behind the white horse. Cut back to her laying on the bed, imagining this as he dies. Then to the painting, then to the ren-faire, then her smiling face, then him dying, then her on the horse. The end.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is one of the ones I want you to watch, like how I like had to go watch Mandy. Like
because of like the visuals.
It's so visual. It was one of the strangest, most fascinating movies I've done on here.
That was a lovely telling of The Love Witch, the story of love addiction.
Yep, pretty much. This has been a 2.5-hour PSA from Kim and Ket and our new producer, Cindy.
Cindy.
Let me count your points. Hey, Sammies. Can't get enough of us? God, you're so greedy.
Jeez.
Come join us over at our Patreon, where we have tons more Kim and Ket for you.
Yeah, come get some bone con.
That's bonus content.
We've got t-shirts, we've got videos with research and fun shit.
What else we got?
We've got home games so you can play along, exclusive poll voting things.
And we have exclusive content that you can't get anywhere else.
So join us and become an official Sammy at our website, www.kimandketstayalive.com. You can find Patreon and any of our links on social media at kksampodcast, or just go straight to patreon.com. Search for us there. We'd love to have you.
Can't wait to see you, Sammies.
Goodbye.
Bye. Okay. Kim, you got a really good score.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Out of your Dead or Alives, as I said, you got 5 out of 7.
Wow, the best I've ever done.
Yeah. Your questions, you got 17 out of motherfucking 22, which gives you a score of 22 out of 29.
Wow.
You did real
nice.
good. So maybe you're not as addicted to love as you think.
Or
you're
just
very
so
addicted to
good
love
at it that I was like, I
get
get it, all of it.
Yeah.
That was really good. I definitely want you to postmortem
everything
information, like interviews with the
Yes.
director.
Yeah.
I want to see what else she's done.
And
considering she like wrote, directed, did everything, I'm super interested.
And just
there's
her
a lot
commitment.
in there.
Yeah.
And just the meanings behind everything in the patriarchy. I'm very interested to hear her statements on it.
Yeah, and it was almost like, this is going to sound like I'm belittling what she did. I don't mean it that way, but it was like so precisely stylized, and the message was so precise as well, that it almost was like a thesis statement,
Right.
like a thesis project, but better than that,
Better,
obviously.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of postmortem, if anyone doesn't know what that is, we just mention it a lot.
Oh,
but
yeah.
so basically, over at our Patreon, we post videos every month that we're now doing live because we figured out how to do it.
We did. We figured it out.
And so we're gonna do live and like chat interactively. And we basically research all the questions we had from like talking about the movie, and then tell it to you. And then we do Q&As, and you can play a home game and vote on movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can do
A
what
bunch of
Cindy
shit.
just did, and play along with us.
So go over and check it out. You can follow us at kksampodcast on all the social medias, and the links are in the bios.
Yeah, and actually, if you just go to Patreon and you search Kim and Ket Stay Alive, maybe like that, nobody else has named that, so we pop right the fuck up.
And we also have merch and shit. So check it all out. And if you don't mind, please give us a review if you haven't already, and subscribe and tell your friends.
Yeah.
And we love you.
Actually, I'm going to really hammer home one thing. I need all of our Sammys, if you are listening to this podcast, go tell 5 people about this podcast.
Wow.
That don't know about us. Go talk about us. Introduce us to your
Ketryn's
friends.
a real substitute teacher right now.
I really am. You have homework, motherfuckers. Kim gave you homework twice. Now I'm giving you homework. And guess who's a tougher grader?
It's true.
So don't fuck it up. This has been Kim and Ket Stay Alive.
Maybe.
So until next week.
We love you. Stay alive.
Bye.
Bye.
Ghosted me.
I'm done.